Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Super Metroid and Link to the Past Combo Randomizer 1v1 tournament. I'm Alradrus, and my partner on commentary tonight, Ace Zero, will be commentating the race between Duck McGuck and fcoughlin.
Hey there, Outragers. How's it going? If you're doing well and excited for this race, I know I am.
I'm super excited. All the races so far have been fantastic. Some really amazing play from all the players. So I'm excited to see what Duck and Fred have tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a winner's bracket. Well, winner of the group stage. So both of these runners have beaten their opponents to get to this point, and this is one of those instances where the winner of this match will be locked into a spot in the bracket. So definitely a valuable match for them.
And it looks like we're off.
All right. Anything as we're getting started here? Anything that you're hoping to see in this race? Anything in particular you're looking forward to, Outragers?
I'm hoping for a not ridiculous morph ball location. I'd like a really open front end, because then we can see some divergence, some interesting routing, and some execution from both players.
Absolutely, yeah, that sounds good to me. And speaking of divergence, I know these runners come from a little bit different backgrounds. I've not seen Fred Coughlin play Super Metroid, so I'm interested to see how he's able to fare there as far as the routing and execution side, but obviously very well versed in Zelda randomizers.
Did you catch what was on the island that Duck saw? It looked like a glove to me.
I didn't catch that. My stream's a little choppy. I did see the cane picked up by Fred Coughlin, though, in Sanctuary. That's a nice start, being able to have a weapon. And once he gets some magic to fill it up, it'll be easy to get some farms possibly early on from enemies. Be able to get these tree poles checked easily.
I see Fred doing what I like to start with, which is the hula hand.
Yeah, I like this play for the combo randomizer. This is a really good play. You might be low on money early on, and you want to make sure you have enough going to Kakariko to be able to buy bombs if needed, and also the bottle vendor item. So definitely a popular and smart choice.
Agreed. And what's really nice about it is because the money that is in Link to the Past Rando is now spread amongst 316 checks instead of 216, it's that much worse and less likely to get money early on. So going to CAC right off the back isn't always going to guarantee you enough for bottle vendor and or bombs if you don't get any drops here at the arrow.
Yeah, absolutely. And looks like there are these two bushes that have a 50-50 bomb drop chance. Looks like Fred was able to get one bomb, which is that's a nice start. He really only needs one at this point, so he can check the race game item on the way in. And if he needs to get the item, he'll be able to bomb it without having to double back. And we see Duck McGuck, aka apathyduck, doing one of the other more popular strats. He's making sure to check all of these tree poles. Basically, there are 3 different prizes based on how many enemies you've killed. They can give you different items, whether they be rupees or bombs. I wasn't paying close enough attention to see which ones he's checked, but that's his second check, and he doesn't have much to show for it, so just bad luck on this one for him.
And the Hoarder having exactly 1 rupee, which is not a great drop.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully he gets some money in Kakariko. Otherwise, this is just going to work out a little bit against him. It's not a huge deal early on, but a little bit of a time waste. Possibly we'll have to farm some rupees in the well. Just drop down and leave a couple times to get what he needs.
Fred going for chicken clip. Ooh, there's one of the 2 orbs.
Yeah, that's a big find early. That the Moon Pearl and the Morph Ball obviously unlock the most locations from any individual items. So as soon as we get the other components for Dark World, that's going to be very handy.
And power bombs from the bottle vendor, always a great thing to see this early on. Always a nice item.
Yeah, for sure. I believe there were...
Oh, and there is Morph Ball. My wish comes true.
There we go. I was gonna say, I believe there was more power bombs in the drop down in the Lost Woods, which is always good to have at least 2 packs. You want really as many as you can before going to Super Metroid. So
All these chase items and the fire rod.
yeah, still not a great weapon for Link to the Past just yet. That doesn't rely on magic or resources like bombs that they can run out of, but definitely having a fire source early makes it a lot less likely to have to double dip some dungeons later on.
So I don't expect either runner to head straight to Super Metroid until, all of Sphere Zero's checked. So, the Dam, Mini Moldorm Cave, Eastern, and Sahasrah's Closet. So just to make sure they have enough ammo, they're comfortable with what else is open, because they could find another 2 or 3 major progression items between here and there, and it wouldn't be that effective from a routing perspective.
Yeah, we might see someone dip in before checking all of them, I guess, but you make a good point. They're definitely going to be a lot more thorough early on in this Link to the Past. While they're already in this game, transitioning between the two takes a little bit of time, and just having more movement items, more ammo, makes Super Metroid a lot more efficient to clear. There's a chance we might see one or both of our runners skip something out of the way, like the Agena check, or maybe Eastern Palace to try to avoid a double dip, but we'll see. We do see apathyduck misses his chicken clip, so obviously minus 10 points for him.
Yeah, clearly a bad luck sign. The thing is even if Sphere Zero is coded to be less progression, it doesn't mean no progression. And that's still, because you've got Escape, Eastern, Sahasrah's, South Shore, Kakariko, and Lost Woods as all options right off the bat. That's about 25, 30 checks, if not more. And that's a lot of opportunity for progression B.
Absolutely. I'm not exactly sure where Fred is going at the moment. Did he not check the race game on his first trip here?
I thought he did. And I think he's remembering. This is actually a smart move. I like Fred making this play here. He's going to grab the 300, and I suspect he's going to fake Flipper when he does South Shore to go up and check Wishing Fairy and Zora item.
Oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I hadn't even thought about that. Yeah, since he already has 200, this 300, maybe he didn't want to make the trip this first pass, but now deciding it's worth it to get that last
Exactly.
little bit. It does make sense.
And now Apathy's making his way to do his Houlihan check, just to get him Zora money. Also important to do Houlihan before you get Flippers, because you can't make that adjustment.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a couple other ways to set it up. You can use different drop downs. If you have a glove, the easiest and quickest one is actually the back of Escape drop down. You can bomb yourself so the camera's a little bit misaligned, but the most common one is definitely this one over here by the river. I'm not sure why he saved and quit.
He could have gone into the cave just to reset it, so I'm kind of curious why he did that as well.
Yeah, he must have a different setup that maybe he's not aware of that, or using some other cue that didn't work out. But looks like he's getting it this time, so just a little time loss.
And since it's so early in what is effectively a fairly long randomizer, there's a lot of opportunity for gains to come in the next, hour and a half before we start seeing a lot of solidification happen.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good point. Since it is so long, that really emphasizes how valuable some of these early checks are. Oh, Fred getting trolled. This Octorok is right in his way.
There we go.
Okay. If they're far enough in that entrance, Octorocks or Dead Rocks, you can just walk straight past them. I actually learned that pretty recently. But of course, if the Octorok decided to move down right when he went to enter, he would have taken the death. So better to be safe than sorry here.
Fred not getting great luck with the mini Moldorms. Oh,
Oh, that's his last bomb, and he doesn't have any magic to use that Fire Rod or the Cane. It's very unfortunate.
that again, it not a big deal at this point. Just a little bit of time lost. Trade with Apathy on his fcoughlin save. Now hoping Fred finds a 5 rupee before he gets back there, or gets to fake flippering at least.
Yeah, and it looks like the big difference here is that apathyduck is not going to have a lot of trouble because he's got the full magic from the tree pole that helped him out.
So it was a progression glove on the island. So we're gonna need flippers and the mirror. It also means slow Dark World access until we get that flipper in the mirror.
Yeah, potentially it's still up in the air whether that's our first or second glove. That kind of makes a big difference. There's a chance that we could have Dark World access through Meridia with flippers and mirror to get that. That would be a logical way to get it.
It could also be an Aga seed. We don't know yet. So not a single map check yet, which I'd hope Fred checks with Sahashrala here to see where our green pendant is tonight.
Looks like actually Duck McGuck, he did do a map check real quick, and it appeared that Desert Palace was a pendant. The other two were crystals, both Eastern and Hera.
That's a nice start. Apathy needing to be a little careful here as these crabs do 2 hearts in green mail.
Alright, he gets through just fine into Ice Red Cave. That's good. This is a painful one to have to walk all the way back to.
And everyone's favorite Spazer.
Yeah, definitely not worthless. It adds a pretty significant amount of damage, so it gets kind of memed around a little bit, but the best beam when you don't have any other beams.
Early on, exactly. Going into Super Metroid with an extra beam absolutely makes it that much safer and cleaner. And Fred's on time when the big orb comes around that he hasn't dilly-dallied.
Well, yeah, not a lot of progression in Sphere 1 after that Morph Ball and Moon Pearl. We did get a significant amount of ammo, some super missiles, which is always good. At least one more E-Tank on the South Shore, so...
a nice early Super Metroid opening, at least.
Yeah, nothing really to help with movement as far as like a can fly, having space jump or Morph Ball bombs. You'd like to have something like that. Obviously, high jump boots are always one of those things that's just a huge quality of life. Just makes it so much better.
High jump saves you so much time in Super Metroid. It is the single biggest time save, I think, from an item perspective.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair argument. It always, of course, depends on where you're going and what other items you have as part of the set, but yeah, that's a very likely most popular item, most effective item.
Nothing of value so far in Eastern that we've seen, just money and ammo. Duck, Apathy did jump off when he first transitioned to Link to the Past, so he knows there's a glove there. Wishing Fairy being just missiles.
Yep, and obviously both these runners are currently breaking logic. It's always an interesting choice of how much runners choose to stick to logic. Early on, these are just kind of... they're effective to route in while you're already checking other nearby things that are in logic. So you might as well do it, because you're not going to have a better chance for quite a while, probably.
And it's convenient now, where it's reducing checks, and Zora being stingy.
Zora being stingy in Eastern Palace as well, with that single rupee in the vanilla big key chest. So not really
Everyone
paying
wants to
out.
see it. And Apathy making the Super Metroid play, I like this at this point. This is a really good time. Although leaving Escape behind is a little painful, but you've got all of Brinstar really open to you at this point.
Yeah, and he only has 5 power bombs. I thought we saw a second power bomb pack somewhere.
It was from the
in
bottle
Fred
vendor.
Down.
He didn't have the rupees to buy it.
Gotcha. That's really unfortunate. Luckily, and for Duck's sake, and he's probably playing into this. This is possibly a meta decision, knowing his opponent comes from a Zelda background by far, and he's pretty proficient as a speedrunner in Super Metroid. You might want to try to lean into this a little bit harder. There's some checks you can do. I think he's going down this way to make the best use of these power bombs, as opposed to going through Brinstar where you need a lot more.
Exactly. It's a bit safer. It gives him more checks, and then he also gets out to Death Mountain after it, which is not a awful choice. Then he can just reset, go back to the ship, and start his way down again. Unless he finds more power bombs. Not a single runner will pass up super missiles, I think.
Yeah, not until you at least have either a ton of super missiles already, or you have charge beam and probably plasma as well to go with it to really have an easy time taking down these bosses.
So Apathy's going to need to be a little careful here, even though he only has an E-tank. It is only an E-tank.
Yeah, just one, and you can tell. We talked about those high jump boots. That's already coming into play. That damage boost he tried to do to get out of that beta power bombs room, it doesn't work quite the same without high jump boots. It makes the timing a little different. Obviously, threw him off and caused a lot of extra damage.
Mm-hmm. And now, getting eaten by a plant or landing on those spikes is going to be not the best experience. Quick power bomb recharge here.
Yep, this will give him enough. Well,
he's going for the safety save. Yeah.
All right, that makes sense.
No,
he's
just energy maybe.
Yeah, he's just gonna fill up the rest of his super missiles here and probably grab an extra couple power bombs, just respawning the enemies by going through that room. That makes sense as well.
Makes sense.
This way, he's got all 5 and enough to comfortably get down to Kraid and grab the high jump boots items. There you see, not turning on his Spazer causes these Zoas to take 2 shots instead of 1. So the Spazer would be saving him time here. Probably not used to turning it on.
Does he remember he has the Spazer?
Possibly not. It's a very easy thing to forget. I've done that countless times with Spazer and with Plasma Beam. Maybe just not wanting to waste time, maybe forgetting, because as soon as he gets another beam, it won't really be nearly as helpful.
Well, we've got Fred making his way up to Zora now. The irony would be finding Plasma here right now. Probably my favorite place to find Plasma.
Yeah, the Bizarro Spazer Beam, in a way, at the Spazer location. Alright, so I imagine that after this Zora check by Fred, I imagine he's going to do a few more Zelda checks, possibly?
I think he most likely will buy some more bombs and go to escape. That would be my guess.
Duck's got to be a little careful here. I don't know how much damage these key hunters do.
Just use all his missiles.
Looks like they do 20. Luckily he got a little energy before getting hit. Yeah, hopefully, for Fred Coughlin, this will pay off. Obviously, apathyduck playing into whether it's real or just his perceived advantage in Super Metroid, but if Fred gets something to make this quicker and safer, he might have a little bit of an easier time getting through these checks.
Yep, and front of escape is something we haven't seen yet. Agina's is something we're still missing.
Yeah, and it works out for Fred since he didn't do the uncle checks immediately. He can pair these with front of escape, which is going to be pretty efficient for him.
Oh no, we missed the quick kill.
Yeah, that's all right. I think he's just one missile away, one super.
Yep.
He's got plenty. He's just got to time it right. Probably practices the stand-up Kraid kill a little less than the quick kill. Gets it cleaned up nicely.
And a full powerbomb refill. That's very nice. So I'm just gonna wager that with Fire Rod and Canis Amaria this early, we probably won't need Turtle Rock, just because that's the way the logic likes to go.
Yeah, we do still have 2 pendants in the Dark World, so not an insignificant chance that one of those is in Turtle Rock. It is still pretty lucrative with the number of items.
Indeed. It's a very time-consuming dungeon, and there's not a lot of efficiency gain from running or being in go mode through it.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. I missed what Fred picked up in the first chest here. Looks like nothing in the boomerang chest and escape, though. Now, he did have the potential to steal one of these keys and go through the dark room to the back of the dungeon. And the off chance that the key is locked in the back. Giving him a few more checks. The
Wave beam. Always nice to find another beam.
Yeah, wave beam is
So key is locked in the back of escape, but we have the mushroom, that wonderful fetch quest.
Okay, yeah, I imagine Fred's going to be turning that in short order, potentially. Oh, he's going back to Dark Cross. Like he didn't set up the Death Warp, so he's going to go through the Dark Cross and check that at least to see if it's the key.
And having the Canis Amaria is going to make that a little bit easier to do. You have an indicator to move through the dark rooms if you get knocked off your path from the ropes.
Yeah, for sure. Sword is arguably the best, almost certainly the best item for navigating the dark rooms. But after that, you can use Canis Amaria, you can use bombs, you can use hookshot, boomerang. Those are all very handy. And speaking of a sword, apathyduck finding one here in Spectacle Rock Cave. That's going to be nice to have. Yeah, not having a sword or a ton of health might be the reason that Fred chose not to sequence break and steal the key, coming to the back of escape first, when to make sure he gets the most use out of it as he can, and not waste too much time with the sequence break in case he were to die or run out of magic.
Indeed, and a nice bomb jump from Apathy there just to get out, and he's gonna go get the old man because the sword makes that borderline trivial.
Yeah, sword makes it easy, and in these SMZ3s, generally this is a little bit more valuable than a... Well, that may not be an accurate statement. It's still very nice to have for getting around the games.
It's a great save and quit location, and also to Upper Norfair. It's just so valuable to have. And Fred setting up this this fake flippers here. Very nice.
Yeah, I didn't see if he was able to get through Dark Cross to that chest. But it looks like he is going to turn in that mushroom.
And we found the cane of burner from the old man.
Yeah, another nice thing to have, but doesn't really unlock anything. It could help us get through Spike Cave, but we still need quite a few items to get to Spike Cave at this point. Still need the hammer and a glove upgrade.
Take that, Fred. Oh, he's saving it for powder.
That's
actually That's a really smart move with the Cane of Samaria. If he did not have the Cane of Samaria, I'd expect him to take that E-Tank. But
yeah, that definitely is. That sounds like it's probably a factor, but it's still a very aggressive play, especially with how early on we are. That's only the second E-Tank we've seen.
And Fred's making his way down the Brinstar loop, checking, Morph Ball bombs first.
Yeah, this makes a lot of sense for Fred to go through Brinstar first, especially since he has a few more power bombs. Yep, he's got 10, so it's a little bit more valuable, a little easier to route through than with the 5.
Quickly, I was just going to point out, I don't think the Fire Rod logic has been applied in V11 for item access as it is right now.
Yeah, that's correct. Unlike the vanilla Link to the Past randomizer, vanilla being the standalone game, the Fire Rod puts certain rooms in logic in that one, but not in this one. So any room that is dark requires a lamp, period. Makes it a lot simpler for understanding the logic, and I think that makes a lot of sense since there is a lot of things to remember with 2 games being involved. Simplifying the logic is a pretty nice touch to make it more accessible.
I like this play of checking the back of Escape just so you don't have, or Gauntlet, so you don't have to run through it, and you're not going to with those items.
Yeah, at this point it'd be a sequence break as well, since you'd have to do a delayed wall jump, which can be a little tricky to get up there. I imagine if there was an item that's required, he would have gone through and done it immediately anyway. But probably not going to prioritize that until he gets a can fly and can get there to the middle item, the one he can't scout quickly.
Exactly, and saving that and getting those power bombs at refreshes you by 1, which is another nice advantage of checking the back of Gauntlet there. Ooh, and our first bottle.
Yeah, the bottle is in logic. These 3 that Fred is checking in the back at the Brinstar Reserve area are not in logic. They're not really valuable, so just going to be picking up the bombs and skipping the missiles. Well, picking up 1 pack of missiles, skipping the other. It's a little bit more out of the way.
Yep. But grabbing this bottle is a very, very nice move and gives you that sick kid check and a quick safety. And you know what? With the Cane of Burna that we know is accessible, adds a lot more logic. Like, it adds Spike Cave in, if I'm not mistaken, once he gets a hammer. And Moonfall. Well, we've got Moonfall. There's our other glove.
Okay, we know, and there's the hammer. Wow,
there's our Dark World access.
That's convenient.
As I said, I want a really open front-end seed. We've got it.
Yeah, I was just about to ask, where do you think the progression is going to be in Super Metroid, since we haven't really seen a lot yet?
So Pyre, the other glove is on Hylia Island, so we know where the other one is.
I don't know how much is in that reserve tank, but Fred's got to be careful.
My guess is progression's going to be in Thieves Town. And possibly at the Green Pendant. Yeah, so Mirror is completely needed, and so is Flippers.
Yeah, we haven't seen the Dark World dungeon layout yet, so it might be required for Swamp Palace as well.
Ooh, and just missing the mid-air morph. Get it on the second time. And Apathy's going to get his second Powerbomb pack here.
I hadn't realized he missed or didn't have bombs for the back of Thieves' Hut as well.
When you don't have bombs early on, that rerouting through Kakariko, even though you do it so many times in a seed, really, it's a time sink.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, he definitely could have opted to route these in like immediately, just like I said, farm up rupees to buy bombs. Both ways feel really bad. There's not a right or wrong necessarily way to do it. Luckily, neither of the items he left initially were super important. And he's got the checks done now, so he's got the peace of mind knowing that he didn't abandon anything.
Another E-Tank is a glorious find this early on.
Yeah, the E-Tank itself for the capacity is great, plus the refill is great, especially coming into this room. These side hoppers do a ton of damage.
They do a wonderful 80 damage without any suits.
Okay, yeah, you can see how quickly his health went down trying to get to that room. It can be tough to do without wasting your super missiles or missiles on them. One note, too, Fred also did not turn on his phaser, so I guess he's just going to carry on with his power beam until he gets wave or another beam.
Well, we know wave is in front of high jump, so he will get it.
Yeah, it likely won't be too long until he makes his way there. Once he cleans up the rest of Brinstar, and then has a decision to make as of where to go up the red tower, wreck ship. He could go down the red tower to those early. Quite a few different ways to do this. We'll see if Duck decides to keep this E-Tank, or nope, he resets it as well. Okay, that's... I guess it's again, that's pretty aggressive with the amount of health that they have, but you know, makes sense. Like you pointed out, having that cane means all they need is one hammer to be able to check Magic Bat out of logic and possibly avoid something very tedious to get the powder.
Exactly, and since we have the hammer now that we know of in the in Greenbryn, so we're in a good spot to be able to do that. So the next time Fred goes through Link to the Past, I wouldn't be surprised if he does that check.
Yeah, definitely. That makes a lot of sense. Checking that on his way into Dark World. I don't believe Fred checked the Wave Gate item, so he doesn't have the Wave Beam, but there is a way to get behind there using super missiles and some very
velocity tricks.
Yeah. Kind of similar. Well, it looks similar.
Green Gate glitching. It uses the same mechanics that you're propelling something past where a gate actually is, and
yeah, it's using the similar mechanics, just a little bit different of a setup. Fred possibly either doesn't know it or doesn't want to spend the time or resources. He is low on supers, so maybe didn't want to have to farm up to make sure he was able to get it and waste his time. But might be kicking himself once he gets that wave beam pretty soon, thinking he might have to go back.
Apathy's going to be a little disappointed with what he's going to find in, 30 seconds.
Yeah, and being rightfully cautious. The acid brings down your health pretty quickly. I don't know the numbers. I'm not sure if you do, All Ragers, but it's pretty fast with no suit.
It's a very fast speed. It's more than a few a second, and that's bad.
right, so looks like both runners at the moment are tracing each other's steps. We'll see if Fred chooses to go up or down the red tower, while Duck enters Britain Star.
Fred skipped red tower.
Sorry,
He's going straight to Kraid.
He's already at the end of red tower. My mistake.
So with this, with the fact that we have Dark World access because of that glove and hammer, once Fred doesn't find anything at Wavegate, he's going to kill Kraid, find nothing, and then he's going to make his way into the Dark World. And I suspect he's going to go straight to Thieves Town, which is a strong, strong play.
Well, it looks like Duck is probably setting up for the mock ball out of here. That's a tricky one to get underneath the gates. Yeah. Otherwise, he wouldn't be getting that item first. So he's able to get it and save just a tiny bit of time here. Nicely done.
Beautiful.
You know, you mentioned Fred would be likely going to kill Kraid. I did notice he only has one power bomb. That might be a factor in his decision of rescuing the old man first here.
And not knowing that the sword is up on Spectacle or in Spectacle Rock is going to slow this up.
Yeah, so a lot of little things with this routing that just item placements making things a little bit more difficult for Fred. Not having too much trouble, but going a little slower than if he had that wave beam for Wavegate, having the sword for the old man rescue.
I mean, also having Kana Burna, if something does go pear-shaped going into Thieves Town, is a glorious savior of an item, so...
True, that's a very good point. Especially with, like, the blind kill is a generally scripted fight. I'm sure Fred's done it, hundreds or thousands of times. But every once in a while those things go wrong anyway. So just in case, it's nice to have the gain.
Yeah, and having a sword going into Dark World is just that extra ounce of safety. Like, 6 hearts, green mail, Dark World is a dangerous place. Nice tight mock ball from Apathy there.
Hey, I'm curious why Apathy Duck's going up here instead of continuing through Brinstar.
I think he's going to Retro Bryn and going to make his way out of Retro Bryn into Pink Bryn.
Interesting. I guess since he's already done the top of Red Tower, he's going to go back, down through Blue Bryn.
And he can check Omega Missiles in the process too. And Old Mother Brain. Yeah, exactly. Like, and we don't have 15 power bombs to comfortably make your way through the back of it. So I like this play.
Yeah,
that's where he's going.
Yeah, I think he might be pushing that Dark World.
No, he's going Omega Missiles, and then he's going to go to Old Mother Brain. That's my guess. I really feel, because there's a handful of checks.
That's a good one to have.
Nice find. Pendants at Pod and Thieves Town.
All right. Oh, no, and now he is going back to Link to the Past, so it might be that he was heading this way already, or it might be that the mirror pushed him into this decision.
That mirror totally changed that, because now he has very clean routing out of Dark Cack. First item in Skull Woods being a missile. So, welcome to Super Metroid Link to the Past Combo Randomizer. For those who haven't seen this before, just quickly, It is both Link to the Past and Super Metroid combined. They are connected between 4 portals. One at the Witch's Hut, which goes to Criteria Map. One goes to Dark Ice Rod Cave, goes to Meridia. Right Side Misery Mire goes to Lower Norfair, and the Death Mountain goes to Upper Norfair. All items are randomized between the 2 games, and the goal is to beat both of them.
Yeah, and this is going to be... This is a fairly tough Skull Woods to have to deal with here. With just Green Mail, Fighter Sword. Hammer does a pretty significant amount of damage on Mothula, but you still can't take too many hits.
Yep, Ice Rod, or Ice Key, or Ice Palace, and Skull Woods are Red Crystal tonight.
Thank you, I missed that on the prior check.
I was glad Apathy gave us a little bit of time checking that. Yeah, that Pyramid Fairy has had a lot of value, for myself in the last half dozen games I've played. So it's important to remember Pyramid Fairy is a check, and it's 2 of them. So we're gonna need 8 Fire Rod shots or 4 hammer swings, I think it is.
Yes, that's correct. 4 hammer hits. However, if Mothula gets knocked into the spikes, it negates the damage from the hammer. So they're going to have to be very careful about how they manipulate their hits to make sure that they actually count. Generally speaking, the hammer's a little bit safer once you get a little bit of practice in with it than the Fire Rod is, just because of the recoil and bounce back that Mothula seems to do with the Fire Rod. But either way, it can definitely get awry pretty quickly, so they'll both have to be pretty safe.
Exactly. And it's because spikes do Temper Sword damage, and the game treats that as actual immunity. So in the vanilla game, if you go after Mothula with the Butter Sword, you cannot do damage to Mothula. It's
right,
been patched into this game as an option. But tempered spins will do no damage.
Right, and in the vanilla game, if you have a Butter Sword for some reason and you're doing Mothula, you do have to resort to pokes or hammer hits. Bees, Cane of Burna, whatever.
Bee strats for Mothula are my favorite. And Fred with a nice clean kill. That was
nicely done.
And gets awarded a treasure map. So as Apathy does this, he's going to do Mothula, then do Under the Bridge, and will be much faster because of that mirror find.
Yeah, he's definitely going to get some efficiency as far as full clearing things out and getting in and out of dungeons. The mirror could be a negative if it causes him to check more items that end up being nothing, and if Fred gets it later and is able to skip some checks. Sometimes it's a negative, but usually it's really worth it. And this early, it's going to be...
And knowing that we need it for our second glove is huge, so that Flippers gets us that glove, but it also opens up things like Smith Quest. And do we want to do Smith Quest if we don't have to? No. No one likes doing Smith Quest.
Yeah, no one likes doing it, but if you have to...
If
you have to and you can do it efficiently, then you might as well.
Well, and having a mirror makes it that much faster.
Definitely, and yeah, I like that we saw 2 different strats on Mothula. Like we mentioned, there's all different ways to kill him. I like that Fred used the hammer for a little bit more damage, but a more difficult to manage hitbox, while Duck used the Fighter Sword spins, making it a little easier to hit, but it affects your mobility getting around, so you have to be a little bit more careful dodging the spikes. Both did a great job, though.
Oof. That Gibdo just gibbing Fred.
Did Duck grab the second item in Skullwoods?
He
I thought
has
it went
not.
straight to the back. Yeah, he checked
He
the vanilla big key chest first, which
there
is
it is.
sensible. So he changes his mind. Okay, I think he realized he missed the item there, and
Well, both items are in
both
the front
items,
half.
right?
Yep, it's missiles and 20 rupees.
Okay. Well, he's gonna get lucky that it's not under the bridge since he left the back without checking that one.
And that's a painful one to have to go back. It's a long trek. Sea house with Fred's bombs. Don't know when he left them there, but he's picking them up now.
Yeah, curious to see what both the runners decide to do here in Thieves Town. It is a pendant dungeon, but it's the green pendant. It's also... It might vary based on what items they find in the front half. They might choose to Death Warp or Mirror out and avoid dipping the back of the dungeon. The first four are effectively free checks as far as most runners are concerned. Looks like Duck checking more Village of Outcasts first, which I really like on the off chance you find boots or something to speed up this dungeon.
The thing about Thieves Town being as long as it is and as very linear is because it's green pendant. I would be surprised if either of them nope out on Thieves Town.
Yeah, it's green pendant, and they have the hammer too, so they can full clear it.
Exactly.
You could definitely make a case if you were to find 3 of the non-dungeon items in the front to potentially leave the last one and that green pendant in the back.
Ooh, that's a spicy find. We just found our space jump with the sick kid.
So that's interesting. That'll be really helpful. Fred will definitely get that item eventually. He does have his bottle, but it remains to be seen whether or not he'll have it on his next trip into Super Metroid, since he'll have to go back, save and quit, and get to the light world to be able to turn that in without the mirror.
Let's see if this pays off, saving the mushroom. I think Apathy's pausing a little too late on this. There we go.
Okay.
Come on, value.
I think the first one he might have... Nope, no value. I think the first one might have been too far away from the pedestal. I know he mentioned you can use the powder from a little further away than people often think. And maybe to show off against another runner that likes to do the powder on Magic Bat a little differently than others. But didn't get it to work the first time.
Oh, Screw Attack was in Chess Game. That means Space and Screw is a really, really nice safety to have. Not that I feel Apathy wouldn't need it, but it's nice to have it to speed things up.
Yeah, not just... Yeah, that's a good point. It's not just a safety, it's just efficient. It's just fast.
It speeds up going through Lower Norfair and makes it that much safer. The worst room in the game is no longer as bad. Fred having to play a little careful here with 1 heart. These little grasshoppers do 2 when they touching green mail.
Yeah, we see... I've noticed a little bit of difficulty from both for runners. Their menus, they're very awkwardly shaped, so it's always fun to me. I like to look at the little things like that, notice how they try to deduce the best way to switch item from one to another when they're just scattered all around.
And once it becomes muscle memory for the seed, and then when it's even easier through other means, they still do it.
Yeah, if it's easier or shorter another way, even if you're more used to one, you kind of just go the way you're familiar with. That's definitely true.
And Fred using that hammer's large strike space or hurt box on the downward swing, making good use of it. I've always found that interesting that the hammer has such a weird hurt box depending on the direction you're facing.
Yeah, it's really awkward. It takes a lot of getting used to. And even then, you're going to make mistakes with it here and there and get yourself in trouble.
And Spring Ball. I like Spring Ball for a utility item and actually will speed things up again.
Oh, for sure. It's so in hard mode in these SMZ3s, if anyone's familiar with playing that, they do add a lot of logical checks. Of course, with the space jump that we have, doesn't really add anything of note at the moment, but Spring Ball in normal mode does not unlock anything logically, just makes quite a bit of things easier. Just a nice quality of life to have.
Yep, because when paired with Mock Ball, you can do some pretty clever things like getting into Wrecked Ship with it. You can also Gravity and Mock Ball, or Gravity and Spring Ball in water. And do momentum tricks.
And we see Duck in a similar situation with one hit away from death in the attic, just like Fred was in. He's also got to be careful. Oh, while Fred goes through, once you've practiced it, the easiest boss fight in the game, the scripted blind fight, does a great job finishing him off. No trouble whatsoever. 9 hits with any damage source that he's vulnerable to, whether it be a sword, blue or red cane, hammer, doesn't matter. Nicely done.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see Apathy use that Spring Ball to go into Wreck Ship early. Wreck Ship, even though it's 11 checks, I think, is usually home to a lot of tasty treasures.
Yeah, without either suit, the rest of Super Metroid is very limited, so that's definitely where the rest of the value is. If it is, in fact, in that game. But it might be a while till our runners get back there. So quite a lot to do here in the Dark World.
Moving on to the dig game. Let's see how many digs we got. Never seen the vertical dig like this. Oh, is Fred typing out a message to us? Hi, Fred.
Looks like it. I am positive we won't see anything like that from apathyduck. He will definitely dig in whatever the optimal pattern is, since he criticizes others for not doing that. After all, it is a race, so it makes a lot of sense. Trying to save as much time as you can. Yeah.
And the memes.
I'm actually looking forward to seeing that from Doug, because I don't know what the optimal pattern is. I see a lot of different options from runners, so I want to see what he does.
And Note Tank.
You know, people hate on the reserve tanks, but they're pretty handy, especially with very few E-tanks. If you are in a position where you want to or feel comfortable doing a hell run, and you have a couple reserve tanks, it's a nice comfort, get you through it.
And from a logic perspective, with hard mode, they are now counted in terms of E-tanks needed to complete something.
Correct,
from a
yeah.
hell run perspective.
Yeah. So not in the normal mode, but in hard mode they can be. Well, no need for hell runs.
That's a nice find. If he goes back to Sick Kid, that means he has full Upper Norfair to Bubble Mountain access, logically. Right now, he does not.
Yeah, Fred does not have a can fly yet. Any way to get up there.
And just for a reminder for those who don't know, can fly is the definition we give to the flag where it tells the game you can go infinitely high, which is Morph Ball bombs or space jump. Fred does have the bottle from Green Bryn right before the mock ball.
Yeah, he wasn't able to mirror, unfortunately, since he didn't get that from the 230 missiles. So he wasn't able to mirror from Village of Outcast to turn in that bottle yet.
So we get to go see Cave 45, as it can be called. Ooh, is that silver arrows?
Looks like it is.
You know, it's not... You know, I have very good confidence that both of these players are strong in their silver list, but silver speeds it up.
Yeah, it speeds up the Ganon fight. It speeds up quite a few other fights as well. Armos Knights, both the regular one and the Ice Armos, if they have to do that. It saves time on Helmasaur King. It can even save time on Argus a little bit, and just quite a few enemies throughout the game.
It zero cycles Vitreous.
Vitreous as well. I don't know how I forgot that one. Thank you. Definitely speeds that fight up. Makes it a lot safer.
I see how you could have missed it. But
Nice. I'm kind of surprised that apathyduck picked up that fighter shield. I know I myself am sometimes too stubborn to accept that it's handy to have, and sometimes worth the time to pick it up.
Well, we're only 55 minutes in. You know, finding a fire shield is not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, well, I mean, the fighter shield even still does have some value. It blocks the spears the moblins throw, and there's a couple screens in particular where that can save you some time, like going into Swamp Palace or checking Bumper Ledge. So it definitely has some uses, even at the lowest level. So it makes sense to pick it up, although some of us are just too stubborn to accept it.
And then you find, you know, 2 shield upgrades right afterwards, and suddenly you're at Mirror Shield, and you're like, why do I have that? Fred making a smart move. He's going to go turn in that mushroom and get that energy tank now.
Yeah, I think he's picked up one more, maybe 2 energy tanks in the Dark World. So this will be either his 3rd or 4th. Definitely still welcome at this point.
Oh, and Fred grabbing the potion to... I think he's going to go Potion Glitch and basically all but Helma King clear in Pod.
Yeah, it looks like he is... Did I miss it, or did he not actually turn in that mushroom again?
He didn't. I'm
Okay.
surprised at that, actually, from a safety perspective.
I mean, yeah, it's pretty equivalent to a heart container. Obviously a little bit different, but you're expecting to pick up some more as the game goes on, so I guess...
Oh, we're getting that green pendant turn in.
Yeah, green pendant turn in, and as you mentioned, the wreck ship play from apathyduck. Both make a lot of sense. The green pendant is value as well. That Master Sword is big.
That's huge! I like seeing progressive sword there.
Yeah, not only is it a required item to have a second sword, but it speeds up all the combat quite significantly. And there we see avoiding the shield. As expected. Thank you for not picking up that one. He just wants to get the one he's used to having. The one that he knows how to use. I like it.
And Fred's just making his way into Pod. As I said, Divergence. I'm super excited because now we've got so much going on.
Yeah, this makes a lot of sense from Fred's perspective, not having that mirror, not having the space jump. It's a really strong play.
Strong play on both sides, truly.
I wouldn't have been surprised to see Fred possibly go down Blue Brinstar, go back to Super Metroid down Blue Brinstar, and then back up the Red Tower. But this makes sense as well. Pod has a lot of items. It's a little key heavy in the front, so sometimes it doesn't always feel worth it, especially when it's a pendant. But the fact that it's a pendant means that you don't need to complete it, so you don't have to worry about worry as much about the double dip by coming back later once you have the bow.
Yeah, but you know what? It's very likely to get the god layout in Mullet Mansion, as I've heard it referred to. You know, all business in the front, party in the back. Because you've got a guaranteed 4 out of 6 keys in these first checks, so the likelihood of you having 2 keys where you need them is pretty good.
Absolutely.
And he found the first key, which means he's going to go straight up and go check the right side bridge up here. Or at least I would expect him to. And then if he finds another key there, then he can check Vanilla Big Key Chest and the hole down below and pretty much get the rest of the dungeon. He's got, and there it is. He's got a green potion, so he's going to potion glitch the right side, so he's going to have everything checked in this dungeon except Helmsaur. I like this. Oh, looks like Apathy is like 1 hit away from finishing off Phantoon.
Yeah, he just missed the 3 round. Looks like his second round he hit 2 missiles, then 3 missiles. Wasn't able to get a Doppler in to get the 3rd round, but does a nice job of cleaning it up on the 4th one. Probably a little frustrated with himself, but it's still a fine fight.
A very, very nice fight, yep. Phantoon can give players a run around. Mirror was found at Omega Missiles, just outside of Criteria Map. And here comes the potion glitch. If you've never seen the potion glitch, you basically use a potion as you're walking towards that door and then hug the right wall. By doing that, you end up locking or unlocking the window, which means you can now get the red mimic off screen, and when it's off screen, the game counts it as dead.
Yeah, and you can use some tricks to move. Actually, you have to move all 3 mimics off screen. Yeah. Once, like you said, once they're off screen.
The 2 greens with the hammer if you need to. So
sure, yeah.
And Snaky. Apathy doesn't have charge beam, so X factoring is not an option right now. Being the brave man and going straight to wrecked check here through Spike Room of Death.
Yeah, with Space Jump and Varia's suit, this isn't quite as bad. It's pretty safe. The spikes on the ground don't do a whole lot of damage with Varia. The other spikes, the spike platforms, still do quite a bit. But if you're planning on keeping the item, this is a little faster than going out of your way to save, so certainly makes sense. Some runners opt to save and then reset it away if it ends up being nothing, or something like missiles in this case. But both are valid options, depending on what you get, determines what was the right choice.
In this case, not the best choice.
Yeah, not the best, but at this point, still no charge beam. Missiles don't really hurt. Doesn't take very long to pick them up without the fanfare.
You'll notice Fred has skipped Harmless Hellway, and that's because of key logic. If he used the key there and didn't get the other one, it has to be a key, so he knows it's a key, and he's just moving on to the Dark Maze and going to get the last of his items in here.
You've got to be pretty careful, though. He's just down to 1 heart. Looks like he's killed most of the Kadangos, but they do a full heart of damage regardless of the mail you're on. So any fire shot or contact damage with the Kadango is going to kill him, which will be handy if he gets the items, but can't quite get the last 2 chests before he dies.
And Space and Screw making quick work of the attic.
Yeah, Screw Attack as a runner is always a lot of fun to have, but sometimes it's less fun to watch when runners have it, if you're from a viewer's perspective. Makes a lot of the strats very simple.
You don't get to see all the very clever, cool things like using power bombs and quick speed clearing techniques. clearly not an item Apathy wanted. I could not see what it was.
I didn't
And Fred
either.
setting up for Hammer Yum.
All right, yeah, this is good for Fred to do this since he already got the furthest out of the way item here in the Dark Maze. He can check the big chest and the other item quickly as long as he gets this set up. He's just... There we go, he's on the right pixel. It could take a minute to dial into that right pixel, but you do have a lot of time if you use those pause buffers effectively. Makes that trick a lot easier than some of the other more precise bomb jumps.
And Pod was a bust.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Nothing of value in Pod.
While we enter this bowling sequence, just a quick reminder, let's make sure we give both of our runners a follow. They're putting on fantastic entertainment for us. Let's celebrate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Both these runners are going to have at least one more match in this tournament, in addition to their other regular streams of this game and others. The winner will be going on, as we mentioned earlier, to the brackets, and the loser will have another match to try to fight for a bracket spot as well. All right, so it looks like Fred's exhausted most of his good Link to the Past checks, which is a good thing for him because it's going to drive him almost immediately into this mirror. It's probably going to be the first check that he does.
He's going to also make his way into Retrobrin, which is something new for us, which I'm excited to see.
Yeah,
He's checking to see if he needs Speed Booster, and that is a dead check.
He does not. Interesting that he didn't scout that out before.
To get in the front, it's more frustrating jumps. That's easier with Space Jump. Oh, and the lamp. Lamp at Gravity. That is a very fun check.
Yeah, a little less valuable. I think both these runners are pretty proficient with Dark Rooms. There's still a couple that it's going to be very handy. In particular, like the Turtle Maze and Pod. If they do end up having to go back to Helmasaur King, I did not count the dungeon items. No idea if he has an item, but if that is the case, or if Pedestal is required, then they're going to want the lamp for that room, and it just speeds up some other rooms as well. But with the Fire Rod, not quite as valuable as it would otherwise be. Okay, yeah, looks like Fred taking that mirror and immediately going to do some of these other Dark World checks. Possibly feeling like he's a little bit behind, that he should have had that already. So he's going to forego the rest of the Brinstar clear, which makes a lot of sense. I like this play from him. We don't know if it's any value yet, since there's still a few that Duck hasn't checked either. But it's going to lead him to the Space Jump, which is what he needs to get a lot more of the game open to him.
And hopefully he'll realize that technically should be pushing him towards Wreck Ship, which I think is we saw, it's Lamp. It's not required, but it logically opens up some of the stuff that they've done and checked already.
Yeah, that, and as you mentioned earlier, it does open up the Bubble Mountain area of Norfair. Which is really exciting if Fred ends up going there first. Yeah, he could end up being the first one to get to that area.
I think Apathy is going to do Retrobrin into Upper Norfair as it is. So I think, Apathy's kind of leading this path on this routing right now.
Yeah, Fred's likely going to go up to Old Man Cave, Mountain Cave, and then into
do Upper Norfair and meet him in Retrobrin.
Yeah, or potentially if you find something of value in Norfair, just might continue to skip the rest of Brinstar. And if there's nothing there, it could work out and save him a lot of checks.
Indeed.
And Duck did pass over the X-ray check. He didn't have enough health or any other items, any way to get across the spikes there to get that earlier. Now that he's got space jump, he's going to have no trouble getting that item as well.
It's a really easy check to leave behind too. There's like, what, 3 or 4 really slow checks that can get left behind easily with waterway, X-ray, and if you're not competent with the super missile velocity wavegate. Did we see wavegate from Apathy? I don't think we did.
We didn't, since he turned around before getting to Pink Bryn, so he didn't check any of those checks. He didn't check Mission Impossible or Wavegate or Spore Spawn. So he's going to grab all that, I would believe, on the way down to Norfair. Oh, it looks like Fred not going to Norfair, but going into Hera, which is a crystal, so this makes a lot of sense too. And he's got a fire source, so he's able to full clear it logically.
No hook shots, so we don't get to see Herapod tonight, but...
Half Magic's a nice find.
Good safety.
And a better find is that flute. Okay, Ooh. So that is very good. That gives us access to Desert Palace, which is just a pendant, the rest of the Mire area, and also the Lower Norfair.
Space jump getting that is always a frustrating check. I feel apathy on that one.
Yeah, he's probably more used to the damage boost, but off the Rio, but with Screw Attack, he just... Well, actually, laying the power bomb killed him.
Haha! Flippers! Wow! Retro Bryn with the value tonight.
Yeah, and actually, I was mistaken when I said that gives him the Lower Norfair access and Mire, because he didn't have the flippers yet to get the mitts, but now he does. Alright, so apathyduck entering Pink Bryn Star here. Gonna be having to abandon that waterway check. Sorry, I missed just trying to make sure that everything's up to date on the stream here. Looks like everything should be refreshed. fcoughlin fighting Moldorm, having a little trouble getting knocked off. It's unfortunate. I missed if he was able to get any other items here in Tower of Hera. I saw bombs early.
Anything of value come out, so...
Yeah, I just saw bombs early. Opting to use the Master Sword spins, which does the same damage as the hammer, but you have to be careful not to poke Moldorm. It looks like you got a poke in instead of a spin earlier, which caused his enrage phase. Able to clean it up nicely, though, without too much trouble.
And bombs.
Okay, well, more bombs. There it is. And then now we're going to see that one check that it looks like Fred left behind here. Duck has Wave Beam, so we'll go ahead and do it the intended way. A lot of times runners will forget that they can do that.
And a handy-dandy X-ray, which we're going to leave behind.
Yeah, it's usually more trouble than it's worth. You accidentally menu to it when you're trying to run, and it just stops you dead in your tracks. It can be helpful, has its uses, but generally only helpful if you have
charge,
Charge,
and
plasma.
plasma.
Yep. Takes down some bosses very quickly, but without those, looks like we're gonna be skipping it.
Seeing the island was an arrow capacity upgrade, so we're gonna leave that behind and not come back to it when we get to Hookshot Cave, which Apathy has the ability to go get now that he has the flippers and that mirror.
Yeah, he's gonna have a nice efficiency on this Death Mountain clear when he's able to get up here. He won't have to make the second trip that Fred inevitably will take to get the Dark World checks once he gets those flippers and picks up those mitts.
Little bit of ammo.
Yeah, and the X-ray item is just a reserve tank, not worth going back there to pick up. So Duck will scout it out and then just immediately backtrack.
And it's looking more and more like the play is Upper Norfair.
Yeah, Upper Norfair or the Mitzlock check. Those are the two big clusters of items we have. Looks like Fred is going to do the Norfair checks at this point. Yeah. Since he does not have the flippers.
Exactly. I still think this is the smart play from Apathy to go into Upper Norfair.
Yeah, for sure. He's got several ways he can route this. He's definitely capable of heading without gravity suit down to Lower Norfair. He could go check Desert and Mire area that way, as well within his capabilities. Knowing it's out of logic, he may opt not to do that. Looks like he actually is going back to Link to the Past first to get those mitts, I would imagine. Not sure if that's it might just be a defensive play.
No, I think Apathy realized he forgot or hasn't checked something recently, and that's Back of Escape. Neither of our racers have done that yet.
No, he's going to activate his flute at the moment instead of Back of Escape.
I'm just going to point out that Back of Escape has been forgotten still.
Yeah, it's potentially a decision and not a mistake, but it is an easy one to forget. It's a bit out of the way, and you kind of take for granted that it's done so early that when you don't do it after an hour and 15 minutes...
Exactly. That's why I'm hoping something important isn't there.
Or if it is, that the runners are just thinking, okay, that was available a while ago, I check it. I hope it's nothing in case my opponent checked it, but I'll keep in mind if my options start to run low. That's always a possibility as well. All right.
Looks like we're going to get those. Go to get them.
Yeah, he's getting the mitts. This makes sense. Somebody had pointed out in chat he's going to do Lower Norfair before Fair. He's going to grab the mitts, flute to the Mire area, and scout that out, see what the medallion is, potentially dip Desert Palace, Checkerboard Cave, and then go to Lower Norfair, clear out these checks that Fred's doing in Upper Norfair on the way out to save a little bit of time.
I'd say quite a bit, because we don't have Speed Booster for quick ease of access in and out of Upper Norfair. So, one of the big things is Super Metroid checks are longer to do and don't have any quick movement through them like Save and Quit in Link to the Past does. So there is an advantage to trying to be able to route as much Super Metroid back to back. Or being able to skip it all together.
Full clearing entire areas or clusters. Kind of one way I've heard it discussed is treating certain areas like crystal or pendant dungeons. You could treat like the Kraid area as a crystal dungeon, and Blue Brinstar as a pendant dungeon. Think of it that way. So if you're going to Blue Brinstar, grab everything there all at once, so you don't have to come back. Is one way to think of it that tends to work out sometimes.
Wow!
Speaking of working out, Gravity Suit and Ice Rod, both definitely required.
With insane value tonight.
Okay, yeah, that's huge. That's huge. It makes you don't want to have to full clear the game, but if it does have to be a full clear, and the boots.
Wow!
Can't even get my thoughts out before we see more good items.
Oh my god.
I was gonna say,
That's
if you do
insane.
have to full clear Super Metroid, it makes it so you can come out of Upper Norfair after Duck's done with all these checks, and then just pop right into Meridia and just start clearing that as well.
Exactly. So we need bombos for Meyer tonight. Bottle on the ledge. So that's all 4 bottles we've seen, I think.
Yeah, it's either 3 or 4. I kind of stopped paying attention after the first one. As long as I knew both winners had one. That's kind of how I look at it when I play. As long as you have at least a few extra hearts and some safeties, they become a lot less helpful after the first one. Yeah, so Duck getting a lot of things paying out. Fred getting not really anything here in Upper Norfair.
Hopefully, you know, we've seen one of the 2 items in Desert, so the odds are we're going to see the second one on the right side, and he's going to nope out of here and be done with Desert. Super fast check, especially finding those boots in Checkerboard. Apathy has made all the right calls right now, and has a very strong position right now. But, as with randomizers, you know, that one item you could be hunting for, let's say bombos, could just completely deter you from going somewhere and miss it. So, you know, this can completely change at any moment. And I love that about randomizers.
Yeah, that and, you know, there's a lot of items we still need. Fred does have a couple items that are either helpful or required, with those silver arrows being a time save, having that second sword upgrade, which is definitely required. And even if apathyduck does get a second sword, if he, you know, has to go through the whole game on fighter's sword to find master at the end, whereas Fred gets up to tempered, that can make a pretty big advantage over time.
That's a couple of minutes on around Ganon itself.
Yeah, plus all the rest of the dungeons and bosses. You know, your cold stare fight's going to be a lot slower with a master sword. Your Argus fight's going to be a lot slower with master, and so on. But yeah, Duck making sure to be thorough here. So I imagine he's going to dip into Lower Norfair. Do you expect that he'll check the gold chorizo items from the back after screw attack?
I totally expect that. It's such an easy check right there. Although he might skip and wait for charge, but I don't see why he would.
Yeah, he's got a couple options. He might go ahead and opt to do the fight or just reset out, since it saves at this portal when he enters. This is always a tough one for me.
There's one of our 4 items we are missing for Link to the Past. So for Link to the Past, we need the bow, the hook shot, bombos, and then possibly another medallion for Turtle Rock. So that's an insane find again.
Yeah, he is just right on the right track here. Just misses the charge there. He's going to bonk into the door. Trying to get fast pillars, but with screw attack, it's pretty darn fast anyway.
So.
Oh yeah, that's right. Duh. So hookshot required. It's a pretty quick trip back to Gold Chorizo.
Exactly. Like, he can come back at any point to just quickly do it if he needs to do other checks.
Okay, at least Krakemeyer is hiding something back here. So Fred gets Ice Beam from this cosine room. That's good to have.
And you know, the way things are going for Apathy, he's probably going to skip Croc unless we have a progression item at the back of Croc, in which he's going to miss Ice Beam and it's going to slow up his Turian travel.
Yeah, slow down Turian and weaken his beam. So if for some reason, or if by chance these runners do get a charge beam, charge in plasma, not having ice does a pretty decent amount of. It adds a pretty decent amount of damage to his shots that he'll be missing out
Did
on.
we see what was at Indiana Jones or no? I think Fred's gonna go check Indiana Jones.
I did not see. It looks like he's getting on the way back. Yeah. Looks like just money.
So Croc is pretty lackluster, other than the Ice Beam. Which means the likelihood of Apathy going and getting Ice Beam is very low.
Yeah, I agree. I think that he'll make the switch back to Link to the Past as soon as he gets through the Bubble Mountain checks. But you never know. He might opt to be thorough, either thinking that he's, for some reason, thinking one of these checks was done a while ago by Fred, or thinking I'm in a good enough spot I can afford to be thorough and just make sure I don't miss whatever's required. We'll see how he plays it.
So I think Apathy's just going to go straight into Ridley, maybe a little bit for super missiles, but I don't think he's going to farm at all. With that missile and super missile count, oh, he might.
Looks like he just wants to refill his power bombs and just while he's doing that, be efficient as possible. So to get just that little extra bit of super missiles and health. Yeah, I'm certain he's comfortable with his 31 super missiles and 85 missiles.
Say. But no high jump boots, but screw attack and space jump, so he should be fine.
Yeah, we might see an errant shot due to the no high jump boots throwing him off a little bit, but he'll manage. I find it can be particularly hard, at least for someone that's newer to the game, to help to manipulate Ridley's patterns without high jump boots, getting these jump and turnaround shots so that Ridley continues to pogo. That was an excellent fight. Does not miss a single super.
Beautiful. He missed 2, I think. But it was...
really? I thought he went in with 31. Okay.
I think he went in with 32. Either way, that was beautiful and clean and very nice. And Ether, whoa, that could be our Turtle Rock access. Also, having Titan's Mitts and Hookshot means going up to Hookshot Cave will be nice and easy to do while going to Turtle Rock.
Yeah, he has Tower of Hera as well, and the rest of the Light World Death Mountain to clear. So he'll likely do all of that in one go.
Oh, good point. Thanks, chat. I thought he had 33, and it was the double tap on the door.
Yeah, meanwhile, Fred doing a great job with that Kraid quick kill. He gets him down no problem. And looks like here we'll see a decision from Fred. Outrageous, where do you think he might be going at this point with his options?
I hope he makes the move to Retro Bryn. It's the smart choice. We know it's a smart choice. It's the biggest space he has available to check. So I don't see anywhere else he's going to go.
Yeah, I think you're right. You could definitely make the argument that I know I sometimes get into a little bit in my own head as far as metagaming goes. He might be thinking that since it was available for so long and he didn't check it already, and he's already made 2 trips into Brinstar to grab a few items, that You might really hope it's not there.
Don't need that. Oh, that book, actually, I would grab it. I can't expect a runner to skip that.
Yeah, it might be required if we have a tablet locked item. Lets us know what's on the pedestal if he's nearby, and the plasma beam too. Wow, Lower Norfair is
wow. Lower Norfair and Misery Mire have been insane tonight. And this is nice and easy to get through with Spring Ball. Thank Glorious.
Yeah, I actually have a question for you, Outrageous. Does Spring Ball, does high jump increase the height of your Spring Ball jumps?
I don't know. I would wager yes, but I don't think so. I'm saying no, but I'd expected to say yes.
Yeah, it looked like Duck was expecting to be able to make that with Spring Ball jumps, but instead had to do mid-air morphs instead, which worked just fine, but it looked like it threw him off, so I'm guessing that's why, but I did not know that,
because
if that is the case.
Because high jump boots basically just increase Samus's frame movement or frame rate of jumps in the like by a significant percentage. I can see it, so. And Fred going to Wreck Ship. Oh, so he's going to do Red, I think, Wreck Ship to Red Tower. Because he hasn't checked Red Tower yet.
Yeah, this will actually work out okay as far as efficiency goes for Fred, because he'll be able to go check X-Ray and then go back through Blue Brinstar up to where he needs to be to get the flippers, which, of course, lock the mitts and those whole slew of items that Duck's been getting in Lower Norfair. Gravity
If I was Apathy at this point, I think I'm going out the Upper Norfair exit and going to check Turtle Rock immediately. You're going to get Paradox and Spiral Cave at the same time, but you need to know what that medallion is for Turtle Rock at this point. You're that far into your mid-game that knowing if you need to hunt something now is important.
Yeah, I agree. The knowledge is huge. That and just the massive amount of item density that's there on East Death Mountain. And of course it transitions directly into Tower of Hera, a crystal, so we definitely need to dip that. Won't really find anything to make that faster either.
We're looking at 16 checks available when we get up to East Death Mountain. Between Hookshot Cave, Spiral, Paradox, and Tower of Hera. And we're getting a slow pattern for Fred for his first round with Fantoon. Oh, and misses the Doppler. Medium pattern.
Might be a good thing he missed there. It looks like he accidentally switched to super missiles. And fired one off. Just missed Fantoon, luckily. It looks like apathyduck is... Did he skip that energy tank? Yeah, looks like he did.
Yes.
Which is not surprising at this point. He's probably still expecting to get one or two more. Stand-up glitch saves a little bit of time, of course, but probably expecting to stumble into one or two E-tanks to be able to do stand-up glitch anyway. Doesn't really need it for safety with Gravity Suit. Well, and he is choosing to be thorough here and check the Crocomire loop. Definitely a sound decision. A little surprising since the Death Mountain loop would kind of wrap around back to the Upper Norfair entrance. So if he were to do that, check all of East Death Mountain, he would end up in Tower of Hera and could just drop back down in Norfair.
Oh, Fred miscounted and we've got it in a rage. So I actually don't like the Croc play on Apathy's side. The reason being is Croc has been open for a while Hookshot opens up East Dark Death Mountain, and Swamp, and you don't save that much time comparatively to doing Croc. So I don't like it as a move. It's not the fastest, I would say.
Yeah, I agree. Well, most of the East Death Mountain has been in Logic for quite a while too, for longer than this has, with the hammer, glove, and mirror. But there are definitely some that were only unlocked with the hookshot. For example, hookshot cave, in particular.
And that's really what I count the value being in right now. Is I'm kind of looking at a depth first approach and saying hookshot was the most recent, deepest item we've got. So let's follow what that opens up and see where it gets us.
Alright, so unfortunately for Fred, he's not going to find much of anything here in Wreck's ship. Duck will just be finding his ice beam and not really anything else behind Croc. Of a minute where they're just retracing each other's steps, getting these checks knocked out. So, another question for you, Outrageous. When do you think, at least for Duck, since he has the gravity suit, when do you think he might push that Meridia? Do you think that might be a sound option?
So
instead of or after Death Mountain?
So I would say he's going to do like Turtle Rock and East Dark Death Mountain first. The reason being is Meridia has a lot of checks and a lot of slow checks. If you can avoid doing any or all of Meridia and use the backdoor to its best advantage, it's way stronger. So check Swamp, check Turtle Rock, check Hookshot Cave, check Smith Quest, and you're still saving time compared to doing all of Meridia.
Gotcha, that makes sense. Also, notice that apathyduck noted he was low on, or out of super missiles, rather. Made a nice call to stop really quick and just grab a couple from that farm spot on his way up. Gonna grab a couple more here. He'll be able to comfortably use them if he needs a couple. We'll obviously need one to get through this gate. Or 3 to get through the gate. Does it work? That's so easy to do when you're trying to go fast.
Oh, yes.
Kind of chuckled a little bit, but it really is tough to hit that gate without breaking your stride.
I was going to say, we haven't actually seen Ice Beam and Crumble Tower. I'm expecting Apathy to go check those next.
Yeah, with as thorough as he's been, I think he'll decide to do that.
Yeah, I think he's making some really smart plays in Upper Norfolk. As much as I don't like the Croc play, I think it's a decent play with his knowledge. I think it really is.
Yeah, it is the fastest you're ever going to get to do that check, so even if it's not the most dense location, it will inevitably, if he has to come back, take longer. So from a thoroughness perspective, check it now while you're here. Sounds reasonable.
Yep.
These Ice Beam and Crumble Tower checks are out of logic, though. They do require a speed booster. He's going to get through with a Mock Ball, no trouble.
Oh yeah, the time-saved Turian going down to Croc was the value tonight. Like, but, you know, he didn't know that. No value at Ice Beam.
And again, just like I mentioned earlier with those Link to the Past menus, notice that with Duck being out of supers, it is really difficult to select the right item sometimes.
Exactly, because... Oh, and Crumble Tower. So good checks. He's going to get out of here, and he's going to make his way, I think, because he's coming out in Death Mountain. He's going to go do Paradox, Hookshot Cave, check Turtle Rock, and then he's going to make his way to Swamp. I think that's his order now.
Yeah, probably grab Hera on the way as well. Sorry, I either missed it or didn't hear you say that one.
Oh, and Hera, but Hera usually is the very last piece of it.
Oh. Okay. Maybe just opting to.
He wanted hearts. He wanted a kiss from the old man.
So he is opting to skip Death Mountain.
He's going Swamp.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, he's going Swamp.
Just based on the sheer density of checks, it's very interesting. It is still a crystal dungeon though, and you can always flute right back.
Exactly. Like it's not a ton of lost time. It's a little bit, but not massively enough to be worried about it. Fred saying no to the shield, like a champ.
Yeah, Fred also, I want to note, passed up on the other one in K4 that Duck picked up. So he did what I would have done. But as we talk about it, Duck making use of it right there. That's where you want to
say. Single tank means you got value. Yes.
That's one of the two screens that I always want to have a fighter shield. So I think this play to Swamp, by the way, I think it's probably a meta decision. Maybe thinking that if Duck might be thinking if Fred's going to beat me, it's going to be something deep in Link to the Past that I didn't check. So I need to be thorough in SM while I'm there and do the things that are out of the way in Link to the Past. Do the full clear of Swamp and make sure to get that done.
So, fun note, we haven't had Apathy go turn in his green pendant for his sword, so he's at Fighter Sword in here, and that's fun. Yeah, everyone loves Fighter Sword in this dungeon. Or any dungeon in the Dark World, really. And that might be why he skipped out on doing Dark Death Mountain, because if he could get into Turtle Rock, do you really want to go through Turtle Rock with a Fighter Sword?
Well, actually, I would argue that Turtle Rock with a Fighter Sword is less inconvenient than Swamp Palace with a Fighter Sword. Simply because you can make use of a lot of other items. He does have half magic in the Fire Rod to deal with the Pokies easily. And the hammer on Trinex is not so bad once you've got a little practice with it. The reason it's, I think, in my experience, most troublesome in Swamp is because you end up dashing into a lot of enemies and then stopping your dash, and they can still hit you because they don't die. But there is a potential that's a factor. I think that's less likely. But, it's hard to say. It's hard to put ourselves in these runners' heads. They've done so many things.
And have we seen either of the dungeon items from Apathy yet? I just was paying attention to Fred making some clean jumps.
I don't recall.
I haven't seen it either, which means I'm hoping he's going straight back and being a hero.
Well, he didn't get the big key. We know that.
Beautiful. Oh, he got the map? So I strongly feel that going and getting left side when you find either of the two dungeon items is basically required.
There's a couple different perspectives. The big thing, I think in particular with Duck, I've heard him mention before that not having that big key actually makes him not want to check left side first. Because if you do left side first, you still don't have the big key. You go back, and then you get the big key on the boss. Or even in this chest right here, it's really inconvenient to go back to that big chest. Right. So he does this first, in the case he either finds the big key, check it on the way to left side, or doesn't, and it removes one check potentially from what you'll have to do to the left. So it's...
Well, and if you're without hookshot... Oh, Fred getting grabbed in back of Gauntlet. That was a unpleasant little acid dip.
Yeah, luckily his Varia suit mitigated a lot of that damage. Just cut his momentum. Wasted a little time.
And Apathy can't do the speed kill, but he's going to do double puffs here. Or try to.
Yeah, this is the fastest way to deal with Argus when you don't have a better option. Hammer's a little easier. If you miss enough of these spins, the hammer ends up being faster.
It's just a ton of menuing, and that can get really bad when you miss menu.
Yeah, it can end up being a difficulty of its own. There's not a good way to do it. You just get through the fight, and you'll forget about it.
I'm really hoping Back of Escape has some value. I really hope it does.
Yeah, same. I'm surprised that we haven't seen that for either of them. I know... So Fred did do the Dark Cross. I can't remember if he died on the way there, after it.
I know he died. I don't remember if he got it or not.
Yeah, I can't recall that either.
But Fred's making the right play. He's going down to Retrobrin. He's going to get his flippers. He's going to get all of his value out of Retrobrin. He's going to get his flute. And hopefully he goes straight into Misery Mire.
Yeah. Duck, actually, I want to point out, he used the Ice Rod on Argus for Phase 2. It does just as much damage as the Fire Rod. It's a little less common. For some people, it's more difficult. Some people, it's easier to use. But it does a very nice job cleaning up the second phase after a difficult and long first phase with Fighter Sword.
Indeed.
Yeah, I guess opting not to do that left side. Only one of those 3 chests has any items, so that's a lot of walking through the dungeon. Very tedious for one item. Makes sense to skip it at this point in time.
And going to Ice Palace, another not terrible move. You know, we have everything to clear this now. Fully logically, even without Icebreaker, so...
Yeah, Duck will definitely be doing Icebreaker. Probably hitting the crystal switch before doing it. Again, another one of those things where, especially with such a new piece of tech, it's difficult to measure which one is optimal, especially when the item placements are random.
Going for the bomb strats. I love bomb strats on the Pengators.
I can't say I've seen that particular setup before. I'm not... Because you can do a strat where you drop both bombs, and then you pick up and throw one, and you're able to get all the Pengator 2 bombs. I'm not sure if that was his intention, and he missed one, or if that's just something I'm unfamiliar with. Definitely looked fancy.
The last Pengator room with the 5 of them that come at you, I love the double bomb strat on there, where you drop 2 and either swipe the other one away or dash off the wall.
Yeah, honestly, and actually, if you don't have boots and you have enough health, you can just take a hit from the Pengator or from the bomb. Just drop the 2 bombs and just let yourself get damaged. That one looks really fancy, but isn't too hard. Ooh, misses the first attempt on this. Nice second try on the Icebreaker.
What you just saw there, being able to use the Canis Maria to clip through that wall, is called Icebreaker.
Yeah, effectively, it takes advantage of the what's called a door state. Since you're still technically in the door frame in a certain position, I don't know the technicality behind it, but it affects how your movements work, and you can kind of squeeze yourself in with the Samaria block and just clip through that object in the dungeon. Very fancy. Doing it slowly isn't too hard, but doing it quickly is hard.
It still saves a massive amount of time.
Oh, Duck gets the bad stair clip too. There are 2 ways to do that stair clip. I always really like seeing that one. It's not very common, but it's an alternative way to take that room without having to be so precise about your slashes or hammer hits. And it does save time if you get it right. Yeah, this Duck is putting on a clinic of how Ice Palace is the most broken dungeon, particular in Randomizer. While Fred Coughlin finishing up his Brinstar checks. Gonna be heading down to X-Ray, it looks like.
And then hopefully moving into Link to the Past and getting his Titan Mitts.
Yeah, that's right. He's almost certainly gonna get his Titan's Mitts soon. With his Titan's Mitts, especially since he's already been up to Death Mountain, I would imagine that the Mire area is gonna be the very first place he checks. So he'll be getting his boots in short order, his gravity suit, hopefully popping into at least check screw attack, if not full clear LN, getting his hook shot. So he'll be. It looks like he's missing a lot of things that Duck has, but he could get them all in pretty quick succession. And most of that, at the very least, I would say is kind of the obvious routing choice or routing choices. I can't recall. Did he get the top of Red Tower already? I think he did.
Yeah, he did.
Okay, that's what I thought. So we're gonna go pop out on Death Mountain, then save and quit, back to Sanctuary.
Hammer strats.
Using hammer on Cold Stare, I find it incredibly difficult. There's people that can do it, but I'm not one of them. So it looks like Duck feels.
There's awkward movements and the ice being problematic that it really hurts if you fail. And we are on last hit if he bodies a puff. So I think he went to hammer expecting to do it and then realized he had 4 hearts.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It just might be more comfortable with one versus the other. He's doing a great job, the sword spins here.
Very well done.
But yeah, as you mentioned, it's awkward move from Cold Stare. Since they're diagonals that he tends to move in, it's much harder to get those hits off. But nicely done from Duck.
Oh, come on, Fred. Go check back of escape. Go check back of escape. Come on. Someone needs to.
I kind of hope he doesn't, just to keep building the suspense.
Watch, it has like bombos in it.
I think if he hasn't forgotten it, I think it makes a little more sense for Duck to be the first one to check back escape, with Fred knowing that he died on his way there through Dark Cross. It might be kind of pulling him away, thinking, okay, well, all Duck had to do to get those items was just not die in the back of escape, so he's clearly got them. At a certain point, you can't keep thinking like that, but at this point, that might be a valid line of thought. Okay, so we're seeing Smith Chain check, it looks like.
Yep. Which has been around for a while since he got those flippers, so I think this is actually a really smart move at this point. Oh, is Bombo's on here?
Oh, that's right, it was in here. I forgot about this. I was going to say doing the almost never seen Frog Door strat in a randomizer.
Burninating the countryside, that Frog Door.
Yeah, that's it's a fancy little all dungeons strat. That you don't see in randomizer. It almost never comes up, but it helps you basically save some time picking up the frog without having to lift that rock on your way back from the library. And
chat making the point that, we've got Bumper Graveyard, King's Tomb, and Back of Escape. It's a really nice route off of this. It is. It's a fantastic move, so I'm glad he's doing it this way.
Yeah, I don't believe we saw Catfish yet, so that will be a little bit isolated.
Catfish,
oh, we did? Okay.
Rupees.
Okay, never mind that.
Now, Fred gonna roll in the money here for a minute.
Ooh.
Oh!
Wow. The Smiths crafting some weaponry from the future. Giving us the charge beam. And that's the full beam combo from Duck.
A bit of the old charge.
Actually, this makes a lot of sense from Duck. Mirroring and fluting over here. Instead of taking this along that chain, he could opt to go back and finish up that North Dark World loop like we just talked about. But instead of walking the purple chest that whole way, he opts to just flute and turn it in quickly. All right, and Fred is checking Gold Chorizo. Unfortunately, it's nothing. He does have plenty of ammo, though. I think he has more supers than Duck had at the time, so he's going to be able to beat GT a little bit faster, not have to worry about using all of his ammunition. Did, of course, we kind of, glossed over it, looking at the new checks that Duck was making, but he did pick up his hookshot, his gravity suit, his ice rod. So that's 3 items that are required very quickly. So the lead is not quite what it looked like a moment ago when Duck had so many more required items. Fred just picked up 3 of them. And we're getting the boots immediately here.
Well, to be fair though, and I think this is the point, is we've got a ton of checks that got cleared in the process. And, Fred is now in a really good spot to make up some ground if he makes some smart moves, like doesn't check Meridia. And as we're seeing, we're missing the bow and possibly a medallion. That's it.
Yeah, or potentially if he does check Meridian, that's where our value is.
Exactly. So there is a huge opportunity to still turn this around, and I think Fred's making some really smart plays here. He's checking all the right things, and he just got no value on the Link to the Past stuff, which is where he's the strongest. So.
Yeah, he might have the opportunity to go mode Ice and Swamp Palace, which would save him a ton of time. Or potentially get the other item that's on the left side or in the big chest of Swamp Palace that Duck left behind.
Ooh, that's a not fun item to find. I mean,
it is.
I think Apathy's good with Mimic Clip in Ganon's Tower.
Yes, yeah, he can for sure Mimic Clip, but still needs the bow for Eastern Palace. Since that is
a really good point.
Good decision to pick up that heart in case he gets lotteried by that Ropa right there that can jump on you as you dash through him, and there's nothing you can do about it. It's just luck. If Duck had the 2 hearts, he might have died, or probably would have taken it safe.
Fred finding the second item in Desert and saying, I am out of here. No cactus stash from Fred, but run to Gina. Didn't he do a Gina already?
No, I believe Duck did. When he first visited the Meyer area.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't think Fred did yet. No, obviously he didn't.
Here we go! Back of escape!
Okay.
Oh, he's going to do King's Tomb.
Yeah, that makes sense. King's Tomb and then Bonk Rocks.
Exactly.
If he was planning on doing Back of Escape, he probably would have done Bonk Rocks and then King's Tomb. I think that's a little bit faster, but it's very close. I don't know if he checked Lumberjack yet. He might be doing this into the Lumberjack check.
Oh, Lumberjack would be an unfortunate place for the bow to find tonight.
Well, the bow can't be there since pod is required. Wait, no, just kidding.
No,
I'm
that's
thinking pedestal.
Yeah,
wow.
An Aga play at 2 hours? That would be, the spiciest of spicy setups. Look at this! Fred gets hit. Oh, he doesn't have a second crystal. I was gonna say, Fred's gonna get a speed booster now.
Yeah, there was a bit of a lengthy map check there by Fred. I'm not sure if it was a decision-making process, trying to think of where he wanted to go next, or if he had forgotten something. But he's on track to get his Bombos medallion. And the fact that he's coming to it from this way suggests that he might be just going for this, beelining for this one item, and then going into Mire immediately, instead of pairing this with the Smith Chain, which would have been optimal if he was going to do the Smith Chain right away. So he's probably trying to avoid that, which is unfortunate because he's not going to get his Charge Beam.
So now we're going to get our East Death Mountain and Dark Death Mountain, which is going to be great. And Fred's doing the same thing. Except he got a little bit blocked by the Dead Rock. Oh, we need Apathy to find another sword.
Yeah, he's still
right now.
He never turned that green pendant. He hasn't been into Pod yet, so if for some reason he decides to do Pod, that's probably when he will do that. Otherwise, it's kind of out of the way. And otherwise, without a bow, he won't be getting it turned in, I don't think, anytime soon.
So we have all of Meridia left. Meridia has not been touched by either of our runners. I see Fred's making the move to go see what medallion is needed for Turtle Rock, which I think is such a smart move right now.
Yeah, and Duck's not going to be too far behind on this check.
And Ether was in Lower Norfair Escape, correct? I think so.
I don't remember which location, but I think that is correct.
We are now just a bow from Go Mode.
Alright, well if there's if the required progression is there in Turtle Rock, that's gonna be big for Duck. He is probably gonna go in there right away. At this point, it would be difficult to argue against dipping into these crystal dungeons, especially Turtle Rock that doesn't get a whole lot faster in Go mode. The sword upgrade, as you mentioned earlier, would be nice.
Oh! Our Go mode is in Hookshot Cave!
Okay. So, this is actually very interesting, because Go mode for Duck is going to be a sword.
Yeah.
It's very likely going to be a sword.
So if he doesn't find a sword in Turtle Rock, he's back on the hunt. Or is he going to go into Ganon's Tower hoping he finds a sword there?
It's hard to say. I mean, he still does have to do Misery Mire here at Eastern. He might check a few things along the way there.
Yes, Ether was on Ridley. So technically, Lower Norfair Escape. Technically.
I know I missed the pickup of it. I was watching the boss fight and watching Fred do something when he picked it up, and then saw that he had it on the exit, so thank you.
Yes, thank you, Chad. Oh, when he does Eastern, he'll turn in the green pendant, hopefully.
Yeah, I imagine that he would, unless he forgets that he has it. That's especially if you're basically in Go mode, or kind of Go mode, just missing that sword. It might be one you could forget. But I imagine that he's on top of it and will likely turn that in on the way there. Alright, this is a sound decision by Fred, but a little unfortunate. Going through Ice Palace, he'll be full clearing this, and there's not really any value here apart from the crystal. Duck opting to be very careful using the cape. I would imagine that 99+% of the time he can use the hook shot to get through those those rollers with iframes, but it doesn't hurt to be extra safe on one heart.
Oh yeah, especially with, the Pokey coming up here, which will do 4 hearts of damage. You've got the Chain Chomps. It's not a fun dungeon with green mail, and especially 2 hearts.
Yeah, Chain Chomps in particular is one of those that it's basically either going to go perfectly or he's going to die. That tends to be how it goes. It's like Fred setting up that same icebreaker. Nicely done.
And having powder coming into Turtle Rock, though, is always a nice boon.
Fred leaving quite a few bombs laying around. I don't know if he's unhappy with that setup for some reason. Maybe it took him longer than he expected. He did have a little bit of a lengthy pause to make sure his positioning was correct. But didn't seem to struggle too much. Not enough to be angry anyways. I actually really like this routing through Ice Palace by Fred, by the way. Since he has the small key, it doesn't... Well, I guess he's going to have to bomb jump. No, he doesn't. Well, yes, he does. He's going to have to bomb jump, potentially, back to the Freezor room anyway. Okay. I was going to say, he's probably saving on the health by not doing the bomb jump across after checking the Freezor chest. But essentially the same checks. Just Iced Tea, then Freezor instead of the other way around. Everyone certainly has their own way they like to do Ice Palace.
It's one of those, when you get into your own rhythm and quasi-optimize it, it's one of those, you just muscle memory.
Yeah, exactly. I know every time in my experience that I try to do something a little different, someone tells me, oh, faster, do it. I get immediately confused at how different the dungeon is.
And then you forget a check.
Yeah, the last time I did Icebreaker, I thought, okay, I'm full clearing it anyway. I'll do Icebreaker, but not hit the crystal switch. It'll be faster. And then I got confused because I needed to find the big key and another small key that I didn't expect to have to find. So yeah. Consistency over fast strats any day.
So,
Nice.
just gonna point out, we rarely see those fairies getting picked up, but Fred going for the safety, green mail, cold stare hurting, and being at, 9 hearts, means you can take 2 hits. So, I think it's a smart move. And also with version 11, bottles always come empty now, so you can never find a potion or a fairy. So it's a change.
Yeah, that's a good point. The bottles won't help you unless you go out of your way to fill them up. Fred does have a little bit of a stronger sword, but even still, Master Sword isn't that great against Cold Stare. Does opt to use Bombos to start the fight, which I really like. This is definitely how I would do it for a little bit extra safety. Make sure you...
And that with half magic, why wouldn't you? Because Fire Rod does gold sword damage, so...
Yeah, just make sure you get as much use of your magic as possible. You can just rifle those shots off and not even have to think about it. Maybe a little bit safer than necessary, but completely valid and not really going to get much faster with that equipment.
Ooh, and getting just slightly blocked by the flip switch. And here comes the hammer strats.
As long as you get the timing correct, the hammer's not too bad. A little bit harder to do from the back, like this. It's a bit awkward, but it... Okay, never mind. I was gonna say you have the added benefit of having a little bit less recoil, so you can, in some ways, get the hits timed better to make sure all 5 of them count.
I was waiting for Apathy to realize he has half magic and just throw fire shots and finish this.
Yeah, the hardest part is that just because the timing's awkward, with the recoil and everything, sometimes you hit that ice head 5 times and one of the hits doesn't quite register, which is what happened to Duck there. It took 6 hits, threw him off a little bit, but didn't take damage or lose much on it. Nicely done.
Link to the Past is a perfectly made game. I don't know what you're talking about. Super Metroid is a perfectly made game. I don't know what you're talking about.
Honestly, with how robust the games are and how many things you can do without completely breaking them apart, I'd agree with you. Unironically. Alright, so this is unfortunate for Fred, that he's going to be full clearing Swamp Palace as well. Not making the play into Mire or Turtle Rock Dark Death Mountain. I guess he can't go into Turtle Rock yet without that ether, but he knows he can do Mire. He knows he can do Swamp Palace. Both sound decisions, both crystal dungeons. He knows he could clear out Lower Norfair and Ridley and just pick your poison. And unfortunately, he's not getting the one that's going to help him make up this time.
Well,
or save the time that Duck spent full clearing this dungeon.
If Duck doesn't turn in Green Pendant, then, Fred has a good chunk of time to hopefully make up, but I'm going to struggle seeing Duck not turn it in.
Yeah, I agree. And the fact that he's mirroring here instead of going to Tower of Hera suggests that he's going to go finish off the rest of his dungeons and then come back up and do Hera before GT.
Yep, save Hera for his last dungeon because you can just come in Dark World, mirror, and then be good to go into Ganon's Tower. Duck had the huge advantage of making the play into Retrobrin early, and that was the big shuffle of performance tonight. Yep, and especially since SMZ3 has 316 checks, that opportunity to make the one right or wrong call is that much bigger. It makes bigger swings than in like LTTP are.
Looks like Fred Coughlin having a little bit of trouble with this diver down setup. He's using a different setup than Duck. The one he's trying to do, basically you have to buffer a down right input. Yeah, it looks like he's not getting that buffered down right input when he first hits the water, and then transition to a right input. That way he'll just pop out and get kind of squeezed. You can do it without the buffer. Looks like he does that right there. Okay, good job.
There we go.
He's able to get it. Oh, are we going to see the bridge hover from Duck? Nope. he definitely can hover. He's pretty good at it, actually. Not one to do it all the time. Maybe not. It's a little harder too with the nerves of a race, and when you've been playing and your brain's been racked for 2 hours and 10 minutes trying to figure out where to go and what to do to find all the things you need and figure out what you need. But so he's just gonna give up and grab a key.
Interesting. We did get God set up for Mire here.
Interesting he opts to grab that key rather than the free one under the pot that's on the way to the door. That's almost definitely muscle memory.
The thing is I think he went for that chest looking for a sword. Like, that was a quick check for a sword.
That's true. Yeah, that might be his thinking, since he's already opted to go to that room and bail on the hover attempt.
I bet you we'll see a Hera pot from Apathy going into Hera.
Yeah, Duck is definitely familiar with that one. I'm not sure which setup he uses exactly, but he definitely has as a setup and is familiar with it. We can see
I
Fred
prefer
having...
the double bomb setup. I find it clean, but... And blink and you'll miss it. This will be the end of... Oh, 2 missed shots. Still
That's
gonna
okay.
be fast. Vidi.
Yeah, still getting the 0 cycle. Speaking of fast, I want to mention that Fred did have a much faster Argus fight. Having that upgraded Master Sword, he was able to get a lot of double spins in as well, which is the optimal way to do that. So he did a nice job finishing off Swamp. Luckily for him, also skipping the left side. Not worth it for those 2 items. And going to get his speed booster from the Pyramid Fairy.
I'm worried Speed Booster is going to send Fred in the wrong direction.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure that it will. I think at this point, the speed booster locked items are few and far between enough that it... I feel like that'd be a bit of a gamble to go for those one-offs, like Waterway. I guess it could push him into Meridia, knowing he can full clear that, get the Aqueduct items while he's there, and not have to leave anything behind. Although it doesn't have Grapple, so Shack Tool's still not in Logic. But he does still have Misery Mire and Lower Norfair, which to me seem like the better options in Fred's position. Obviously, we can see where the progression is since Duck's already found it, but I think that's a sound play. We'll see what he does. Alright, equipping that Bombo suggests he is going into Mire. I think this makes sense, because this will let him clear out this Crystal Dungeon and then dip into Lower Norfair.
Yeah, and he'll find the things he needs there. So he's making up time. He is making up quite a bit of time, I feel, here. But not substantial. Like, I think Apathy has a decent head lead at this point.
Yeah, the big thing is where that sword's going to come into play. apathyduck did not turn in the green pendant on the way in, which does make sense. I think that's the right call.
Yep. Because if he finds a sword on Armos.
Yeah, if he finds a sword on Armos, that's more efficient. And also just fluting to 5, even if you know you're going to have to every the Sahastral item or Sahastral's Hut and Eastern Palace. If you're fluting to 5 and you have a glove, it is faster to go to Eastern first and then check Sahastral's Hut on your way out. So that's potentially Duck's decision, but at this point, just missing that sword, he might think, he's got so many items left in GT, and, Tower and Hera can check a couple quick ones, maybe, and he might just opt to skip it. And we unfortunately see Fred also not in go mode. Could full clear this dungeon, but going straight back to Vitreous. I like this.
I like this play too.
I am not the most familiar with the key logic in Misery Mire, but this could
There's
possibly...
more keys than you need. That is
I know
the
that
law.
much. Yeah, I know a couple things. I know, for instance, having a small key in the compass chest denotes that there is necessarily the big key in the vanilla big key chest.
Oh, Apathy fluted out.
Okay, so it's not going to get that sword on Sahasrahla for the green pendant turn in.
So
this remains a race.
Yeah, this has made it Fred's game to catch up here.
Yeah, we'll see what Fred does after clearing out Vitreous.
Because if he makes the smart move of going down to Ridley, he's going to get his Ether, and he's going to have Turtle Rock, and he's going to know he's in go mode. And he will be in go mode.
Yeah, I think if you make the play to go straight to the boss before clearing out the dungeon, you're kind of committed to leaving that item. Or in this items, there are 2 left. Ooh. Fred also missing 2 arrows, but still getting the 0 cycle, so it's no big deal.
But if Apathy doesn't find a sword here, he's now needing to go and hunt through Meridia. He's needing to hunt through all of the other checks. So he is not in a good spot if he's hunting for a sword. And if
left.
And if Fred goes to Ridley, that's where this difference is. Is Fred's going to Ridley, which means he's going to find his Ether and be in go mode. This is going to completely change this game up, and I'm excited to see how this turns out now.
Yeah, I mean, there's still 2 swords left. There's a lot of checks in GT, but that's a lot of checks that Fred could potentially not have to do. Okay, it looks like Duck does the same setup I use.
Yeah,
that's a nice one. There's a couple good visual cues for that. There's quite a few setups there. There's almost not a wrong way to do it as long as you can do it consistently. But nicely done. And he is dropping down to check these 2 chests here. Or just the 1 chest. Who doesn't have the big key?
14 checks, I think it is. While GT has, like 18, I think it is? 17?
No, GT has... There's 22 in the basement, plus the big chest, and 5 on the top. Or 4 on the top?
But, that's before excluding keys and the like.
Oh, right. Yeah, there are... there's 1 big key, 4 small keys, map and compass.
So 21. So yeah, Ganon's Tower is the smarter play here. It's just, if it doesn't pan out, then we're in a really interesting situation.
Yeah, and obviously you do need that big key no matter what, so he's for sure going to check GT until finding that. Probably will continue checking at least other nearby chests, depending on where he finds the big key.
Where you check that big chest, though.
Probably, I think it depends on where you find the big key. Because if the big key's in the wrong spot, that could be awkward to get to, and he might opt to just proceed up the tower. Like, for example, if the big key is on the right side, yeah, he might opt not to proceed all the way through to Ice Armos or get to that big key. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
Oh, I was just going to say, it's the big key guessing game. Where do you think it's going to be?
Yeah, I always just throw out a number. Since it's just a for fun thing. I never have a good guess. Well, I'll just say 12.
So my favorite is, I guess, number 5, but on the right side. So it's in the 4 chests at the end of the right side. Because I'm a jerk. Oh, well, number 2.
Good thing it wasn't official since we were a little slow on playing that, getting it started. We don't have a bot for this tournament. But he does choose to go up. Okay. Yeah, see, that's... Oh, no, he's going to hope for...
He's going right side, which I think is the smart way, because then he can get to Ice Armos from there.
Unfortunately, he's just getting all small keys. The fact that he has 4 small keys already is not the best luck. Since he already has the big key, so sometimes the number of small keys you get can dictate where the big key is. For instance, if it's in the rando room, I know that 4 small keys are required to get to that. So when you get a lot of them early, that can suggest that might be the location of it. Although I suppose this is, all the keys are always available, so that's perhaps looking into it a little too much. Does get high jump boots. Those are nice. Not what he needs, but they're nice. And
Awesome high jump boot
Okay.
location. I think because he's looking for the sword and he's going to need to do the rando room, I think what he's doing is into bad method. So, like, he's trying to check everything right now.
yeah, which makes sense. You'd hate to have to. I mean, you kind of
If
have a
he-
couple options.
If
The
he
best
has
one.
to hunt for a sword after this, it's going to be, you know, I can almost hear Apathy screaming in rage just at the frustration. It's not a pleasant moment when you're hunting for a sword, which really has only like 3 or 4 things that lock it.
Yeah, that's correct. There's not really much. need a
Pendant,
sword
or a pedestal, and tablets. Fred making his way through the Common Rider Pirates.
Oh, there it is. There's the Master Sword. So he's just gonna finish up this room in case there's, you know, another sword there that would help him out. And then make this climb, 'cause that's all he needs. He's definitely competent with the Master Sword fight, especially with silvers. That makes it quite a bit easier.
This will be a decent fight. It's going to be a slow Ganon fight, and Fred most likely will find that. I think Fred's a bit more tended to go left side, so... But is he going to just nope out immediately and not... Yeah, he probably will.
Yeah. Fred is definitely comfortable with Master Sword silvers as well, so he's not gonna keep checking past the big key either. There's a chance that one or both runners will check a few things on the way up still. Like the pre-Moldorm 2 chest, the 2 chests in the mini Helmasaur room, the Moldorm 2, post-Moldorm 2 chest. But Duck is officially in go mode now. Just under 2.5 hours. Fred is going to hit go mode in about 30 seconds to a minute, depending on
Exactly.
how far into this fight he is. I don't know how many shots he's got in at the moment. It's getting pretty close. That Ridley's pretty red.
So things that aren't, like, for speed, you know, Apathy's got charge beam, he's got full beam combo, he's got a quick Meridia kill for Dragon. He's in a very comfortable place right now.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, there's Fred's go mode. Yep. So he's gonna have a little bit of a quicker escape from Norfair than Duck had.
Arrow sprites on the screen, missing that shot.
I am actually really. Oh wait, no, just kidding. He Duck stopped to powder the anti-fairy because his health was. I was gonna say I was really surprised to see him not use the fire rod, even without tempered sword. I know Duck has mentioned he's not well practiced in a lot of silver strats. The speedruns that he does don't involve silver arrows, so I've seen him have silvers and just opt for fire rod instead. But having to offset the timing on the Landmolas by powdering the anti-fairy makes that either way would have been a little awkward.
I will admit, Apathy was quite lucky with that sword find.
Yeah, with 2 left, they've got to be somewhere, but it can be rough. I know I've had sword go mode myself a handful of times, and sometimes you get bailed out immediately, and sometimes you just can't find it to save your life. But I mean, it's one of those things. It's one of those things that you kind of feel bad about, but at the same time, you kind of feel good about sword go mode. It means you found everything else fast. You didn't waste your time picking up unnecessary swords.
I feel there's a bit of an oxymoron in that statement.
Yeah.
Unnecessary swords.
Well, I mean, just by nature of the fact there's 4 of them, it usually means you've skipped a lot or avoided a lot of checks. Oh, Duck takes a fall. Again, that Master Sword versus Tempered, it kind of throws a lot of things off. You're usually used to having Tempered in this room. So Fred Coughlin still checking for some quality of life items, which absolutely makes sense. I think is the right call for him. I don't think he's going to get that book. He knows he doesn't need it. He knows he's in go mode, but definitely getting the plasma beam still. That's really good. I'm glad he checked that since it's a quick one.
I'm surprised, even though, you know, there's a little bit of lack on the menuing, going hammer strats for Moldorm 2 just because of the speed.
Yeah, I find that I personally don't like using sword spins on Moldorm. I find it a lot more difficult. But Duck might have saved some time doing that. Would have been a little bit safer. Probably wouldn't have taken any falls, but he does a nice job on that final attempt to get it done.
Just a single. Beautiful triple.
Nicely done.
And, you know, chat's bringing a good point out. Ammo is going to be tight for Fred going into Mother Brain with current ammo levels.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Fred's familiar with Zeb Skip. If Fred knows Zeb Skip, then
yeah, if he knows Zeb
he's in
Skip,
okay shape.
then it's clean. But if it's not...
Yeah, if not, he'll have to go back and refill after killing the Zebatites and likely breaking the glass at Mother Brain.
Chat saying he's been working on it, so hopefully we'll see it.
Okay. That's good.
After the going into the Ganon fight and starting his spins. Some nice bonks there.
Yeah, doing a good job of using the trident to get double spins off. Which the first one's pretty easy to do, but after that it gets a little awkward unless you've got practice in with it, and he's obviously practiced this
God
fight.
Position in phase 2.
Yeah, being very, very aware, making this play to transition to phase 2 with Ganon on the bottom of the screen, so that you have a 50% chance of getting one of those top corners. You definitely don't want to start phase 2 on Master Sword Ganon with him on the bottom, because it's so much harder to get any double hits in.
Fred needing to be after needing to be a little careful on magic, just because we're going into phase 3 here, and hoping to get that torch glitch. I mean, with silvers, you're not that needing it, but...
Yeah, with silvers, there are some instances where you don't really want torch glitch. Sometimes it's more advantageous to miss it and get Ganon to freeze in a good position for you. With Master Sword, it's hard to say. I don't know if it's ever better to miss it, but it's really not a problem. Is he going to be able to get a triple? Nope, just 2 shots. Okay. Ooh, missing shots is a little risky here. Okay.
Yeah. Going to the safety strats. He's got one more pass to get 2.
Does he have enough for 2?
He has to. There we go.
Okay.
Ooh, that was tight.
Oh, I thought you meant another 2 torches out of that lamp, and I don't know if he does. I don't know if he has enough to light both of them.
I think he did. So that's our first G going into this. Whew. Had me a little bit on the edge of my seat. And now he's going to go down and kill Dragon and make quick work of that and make our way to another brain.
Yep. Taking the route that I always forget exists. That I shouldn't, with as many of these as I've done. You can take the whirlpool. Yep. It's a little bit faster. Yeah, fcoughlin finishing.
Ooh, apathy needing to be... Oh, he's got a fairy and a ball. He's fine.
That's true. I'm sure he doesn't want to waste the time on the revival, but at this point, there's nothing else he'll need it for. So interesting of Fred to reset back to the ship here.
Yeah.
As opposed to doing Turtle Rock and Ganon's Tower, hoping for that charge beam. He doesn't know the charge beam is at the Smith chain, and he's not going to find it. He might just be taking the ship refill now, so that when he takes the portal to Meridia, he doesn't have to stop and farm. That actually might be what he's doing. Okay, so now he's going to go to GT, Turtle Rock GT, then backdoor Meridia, just like Duck's doing, but not have to worry about his ammunition.
Yeah, so just to go with chat, it is about a 20-minute difference that Duck is ahead right now.
Yeah, Duck had a great find of that Ether Medallion that was Fred's Go mode in Lower Norfair early, and then...
And also finding the mirror at 230 missiles way before Fred. That
yeah, mirror early... Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, the mirror put him in quite an advantageous position, so when he found his flippers in Retro Bryn, he was way ahead.
Yeah, I want to point out that that was quite an extensive menu from Duck. It looked like he was setting up for quite a few things at once. Not only was he unequipping some beams to get the X Factor on Dragon, which was nicely pulled off. Some excellent Shine Sparks, fantastic kill. But he also turned off his Varia suit, so we'll be able to damage down a Mother Brain more effectively. And then looks like he turned off Screw Attack to get Zeb Skip as well. So just doing all that at once is really a heads-up play to avoid having some extra menus.
Yeah, Dragon, very good point.
Taking the blue suit, get back across the Coliseum, nicely done.
Groby, he turned off the beam so he could get the X Factor.
Yeah, you need to have just Wave in charge for that. Any other beams on will cause that not to work.
And here we go down to Durian.
And I don't recall where the keys layout, what the key layout was. Sorry, in Turtle Rock here. Obviously, the big key's up front. Fred might save a little bit of time in this dungeon, not checking quite as many chests.
There wasn't a key on Laser Bridge, so he'll be able to skip that. Had to double check my notes.
Okay, thank you. I feel like I must be slacking. I'm not taking any notes over here.
I think it was a bit of a show-offy move from Apathy.
Yeah, what, turning off the beams? I think it was just
Yeah.
a precaution, probably in case he missed a shine spark or got a suboptimal one. The shine sparks do variable amount of damage depending on how you hit Dragon. It's a little bit more complicated than I'm familiar with to explain, but it's definitely not just a set amount of damage for hitting Dragon. So if you hit a bad
what 3,600 damage per frame it interacts with, something like that? It's silly.
It's something odd like that, and there's also the 2 overlapping hitboxes between Dragon's head and body. So that's why you want to aim for, I guess, Dragon's neck area.
Yeah.
So you can hit those overlapping hitboxes. If you're high or low, you don't do nearly as much damage, so having the X factor to ensure you get a bunch of damage early in case that happens is maybe just a safety strat. Nice baby skip. Doesn't look like too many, or if any, extra jumps. That was very good. The more extra jumps you do, the less effective it is, but once you start going for it, do as many jumps as you need to get it. Otherwise, you've wasted time. Oh, it looks like Fred getting the
Fred
really
didn't
bad
steal
luck.
the key in the back.
Yeah, this is did he steal the key and skip the big chest? I believe that's what he did.
Oh, and there was a key in the big chest.
Yeah. So if he did what I believe he did, that means that there's a key in the big chest and on the vanilla big key chest. So that's like a 2 or 3% chance that this is going to work out like this. So just bad luck that he's not finding a key here. And he'll have to backtrack. Hopefully he doesn't use all of his magic, though. He doesn't want to get hit by a laser either.
Oh, no.
Oh, that's just a bad position.
The beginning of Turtle Rock, too, because he didn't go out.
Oh, he does have a fairy.
He's got a fairy.
Okay. That's okay.
I was worried.
Not so bad. And it's not a big deal, but Duck did take a decent amount of damage here going through the Metroid rooms. And going for that Zeb skip took him some time, so he's going to be a little bit more careful than normal to make sure he's able to get stand-up glitch. Again, if he misses it or gets damaged too much, we'll just take the vanilla fight where you watch the cutscene. But he shouldn't have too much trouble just getting these 20 shots in while avoiding Mother Brain's attacks. Oh, it looks like there was a key on Laser Bridge, so I guess that last one on the bottom.
Ooh, I was wrong.
So yeah. Duck gets the stand-up glitch, and fortunately, Fred was making the heads-up play of catching another fairy to make sure he gets through this Trinex fight. He's using the hammer as well with Master Sword.
Fred's got to be careful. A Trinex body is dead.
Yeah, here you might want to opt to... Okay, he takes the spin early to get the single hit. That's a good strat as well. I was going to say you can align yourself a little bit to the right so that when you get that double spin off on Trinex, you bounce out of the way and make sure you don't get trampled as Trinex swirls to the left.
That was
both
really
are
nice.
strats. Yeah, that's a heads-up play to take that spin early and make sure he doesn't get stuck in the corner. Duck missing a few onion rings, losing a little bit of time here, but not bad.
Time to stop charging.
I think he got enough shots in. So just be one or
think so.
maybe two.
Two.
Yeah, it looks like 2 shots. Okay. Pretty darn close to optimal. Nice job. From those missed onion rings. You want the baby to get hit by as many as possible, be completely optimal. But you definitely save time over not doing it, so nicely done. We'll see how Fred routes Ganon's tower, see how long it takes him to get this big key. Looks like he's going straight left, which will lead him directly to that big key. No charge, so it makes sense he's picking up missiles, potentially trying to avoid that extra refill if he isn't able to get Zeb Skip. And there it is. There's the finish from Duck McGuck. Official SRL time of 2:45:39. Get your GGs out there for Duck. It was a fantastic run. Well done.
That was indeed a fantastic run.
Fred making his climb up the tower. Should be rather quick. Still just a Master Sword, so might have a little bit of difficulty in some of these rooms, but shouldn't be too bad. Looks like we're working on the audio, getting this leveled out.
Beautiful Moldorm too.
Yeah, nicely done. Gets down with 3 arrows, no trouble, no extra cycles.
Hi.
All right, and we are joined in fact by the winner of the match, apathyduck.
Congratulations, GG.
Oh, GG. Thanks.
So, what were your thoughts on that seed?
It was a quick one. I was a little worried because it was really like a flat seed, like everything was available pretty early, and I put off Death Mountain for way too long. I was ostensibly 1 item for go mode plus the TR Scout, and like I kind of had like Ice Palace into the Pyramid Fairy like planned out, and before I really started thinking about going to Death Mountain. Honestly, the hookshot in Screw Attack, I was planning on it, and then I found the hookshot. I was like, well, maybe I'll do some of the other dungeons first before I head up there, try to do everything in one shot. maybe try to find the bow. But yeah, so I was a little worried. Like, you know, Fred's a really good competitor, so if he routed it a little bit better, or at least did it earlier, I was a little bit nervous that I wasn't going to take this one, but it seemed to work out. Did we find any other swords besides the two I found?
Yes.
So,
Fred
we
had his
found
master sword early.
It was green pendant.
I knew it. I almost. I like, you saw me. I flew to 4, right? And I was like, now I'll go to 5. I was gonna go current. I was like, yeah, screw it. I'm not gonna do that. Mother.
Yeah, we thought you might turn it in after Eastern Palace, like on your way out. Just pop in.
What's the chances it's gonna be there? Like, well, it was just like I made that play early because it was just like, you know, Screen Pendant Thieves, and I was like, I'll just do it. There was only one item in the front, so I was like, I'll just do it, clean it out that way, because I didn't want to have to come back to that area really. I mean, I guess I could have done it with mitts later, but and then I just never really had a good time. I was like, oh, I'll do it like when I get the bow or something. I just never really had a good time to like hand it in.
So, a couple of the major turning points for the run was when you found Mirror at 230 missiles really early. Fred took a while to find that. And also your venture into Retrobrin, it took Fred a lot longer to go there, which I think was the biggest shift.
Did he make the same half dip I did?
Basically, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were so starved for power bomb. I mean, like, I was starved for money and bombs early, so I couldn't clear out Kakariko. And again, I was like, okay, I'll come back and do it when I do Dark World. And then, like, I opened Kraid, still no power bombs. I was like, okay. Like, and like, when I went back into Link to the Past for those couple of checks, like, I wasn't really looking for progression. I was looking for power bombs. And I was like, okay, well, because last seed, like, I always open with Gauntlet, and last seed I had Morph Ball, like, in Brinstar. And when that happens, I tend to forget about Gauntlet. So I was like, I really don't want to do 5 power bombs because you can't even get through Gauntlet that way. So I was like, let me go clear out this stuff and get some. Fortunately, I found some on Bottle Merchant, so I was pretty mad about that, honestly. But and then like I got Dark World access halfway through, so my thought was, well, you know, I hate abandoning Waterway, so I'll just dip back out, and then I can do kind of like that loop. Like when I find Varia, I can make like the loop I did ended up doing. So it just kind of worked out that way.
And because of the lateness of the gloves, really, you guys both abandoned Back of Escape.
Yeah, well, there was only one item in there, so like, it's
Yeah.
a really slow check for one item. So I'm like, all right, I'm not going there ever, pretty much until very late. So, yeah, because just for one item, like if it's 3 items or you don't know how many there, it's pretty efficient. Just for one, like, it doesn't really make sense to do it, honestly.
Oh, totally agree. It was just one of those. It was amusing to see you both not forget it, but just kind of sitting there and with the bow taking as long as it did, and then your sword, it was like, is anyone gonna actually go check that? Because it could have been a very early item and given you progression way earlier. So.
Yeah, it could have been, but we had so much open in the seed the entire. I mean, I had Dark World. Dark World gave me Varia. You know, I was looking for the flippers for a long time, so that, I mean, Varia really didn't give me too much besides hookshot, but I finished off that dip to get flippers, which gave me mitts, which gave me everything else. That gave me grav, and it was, at that point it was like the entire game was open, and I'm looking for a bow. So.
And so Ace asked me going into this, what did I want? And I wanted early Morph Ball and quick Divergence. And you know what? I got both of those with this seed, so I was glad to be able to commentate it. It was a great race to watch between the two of you. So thank you so much, first of all.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Unfortunately, it looks like in the race, Fred did not have enough magic to finish off that Phase 4 game. It looks like he was just 1 silver hit away. That's really unfortunate.
Yeah, I had a little magic problem.
You had about the same situation, yeah. I couldn't tell if you had enough to light the torches one more time. On your last attempt.
Yeah, well, I mean, with the silver fight, I wasn't too worried. I had silvers and had magic. I'm like, what could possibly? Well, I ended up doing the cape. I'm surprised I didn't. Honestly, that first cycle, in the corner. I was surprised I didn't get enough spins on there. I wasn't really counting. I was like, I'm just gonna spin until until he changes phase. I'm like, that'll be good enough, right? And he had another phase down low. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, was there anything throughout the seed that you really felt good about or bad about, Duck, in particular?
No, I mean the only thing again, like I had Death Mountain on my mind. I was like, I'm gonna do Death Mountain. I'm gonna do Lower Norfair, and then I'm gonna do Death Mountain. And I found the hookshot, and then I was like, well, I guess I can start doing dungeons because like I didn't want to. I really wanted to avoid the double dip up Death Mountain. I tried to do. I kind of ended up doing it. I mean, it was forced, right? Because the bow was up there.
Right.
So the hookshot made me do swamp. And honestly, I should have done Ice Palace first into swamp into the Pyramid Fairy stuff. And then like I was even thinking like Pyramid Fairy into because I like the Pyramid Fairy into Catfish into Meridia play. So I had that in my mind too. And at that point, it was like there's just so much stuff on Death Mountain. It's been available for so long, like because I avoided Light World Death Mountain early on too when I could have done it because I knew where the mitts were, right? So I was like, okay, they're there. So like flippers got to be somewhere, you know, unless they were specifically on Death Mountain. You know, I could probably do all of Death Mountain in one trip, and maybe even do Turtle Rock and maybe straight into GT too.
I was gonna say, if flippers are on Death Mountain, that's a kick in the teeth.
Yeah, but then if they were, I definitely would have done it a bit sooner, probably. I mean, I wouldn't have been doing Meridia, obviously, because that would have locked off with where gravity was. And where with high jump was, like there was, I can't do the high jump +1, so I need either high jump or gravity, and they were both kind of behind mitts, so it's not like I was ever going to make that play.
Well, and ice was also behind Myth, so behind Varia and Croc. Oh no, you had Dark World access.
No, I'm saying I couldn't get to gravity. So
yes.
I'm the big
Right.
area I didn't do was Meridia, right? I'm saying I couldn't get to gravity and do like I would have been forced to find flippers, or if they were up on DM or something was on DM, I would have been forced up there a lot earlier. So, but yeah, like there was like the progression of the seed was kind of like Morph early, and then Dark World, and then that was pretty much it. Like as far as like everything was available in basically in that next sphere. Like nothing was really deep. Like,
yeah, it was just everything piled up at once.
Yeah, right. I think hookshot was like probably if we had the playthrough of this, hookshot would be the last thing. Oh no, bow. Right, bow would be because of it would be behind the hookshot. But like, yeah, everything was super. There were a lot of stuff in Brinstar. The flippers leading right to your mitts, but nothing was really behind mitts besides the bow. Yeah, so mitts and hookshot led to the bow, and that was it. It was really only like 3 or 4 spheres deep. So that's what was nervous. It was like, you know, the Death Mountain is so loaded, you know, I was like, well, Fred really could have done this pretty early, and like it was a low percent Zelda seed, pretty comfy SM seed. I know Fred's got more experience in A Link to the Past than SM, so if I had my druthers, I probably would have swapped it. But yeah. Oh, also I messed up not getting Bombos before I went to Ice Palace too. I completely forgot because I thought like I have Bombos. This cold stare will be easy. I'm like, oh wait, nope. Forgot to get it.
Yeah, I personally had forgotten that it was even on the library. Nice showcase of Frogdoor, the very rare use of that in a rando.
That's honestly half the reason I did the Smith sequence there. I was like, I'm gonna do Frogdoor. This is great.
I think I've done it in one rando myself, and that's about it.
It's the second. It's actually kind of tricky because you don't have the text box, and like where I did it was really dangerous because I hadn't saved it. I've had to redo Ice Palace and everything because there's no text box, right? So you can't if you do get the hard lock, there's no saving it, right? Yeah, there's no saving it. So really stupid thing to do, honestly, but
it saved 20 frames. So
hey, 40.
Yeah, or 40. It is 40. Okay.
Yo, shout outs to Ossie at Frogdoor.
Nice.
Yeah.
Also, let me just say I appreciate your meme name.
Thank you. Our stupid rando team made the playoffs, so we're gonna have to stick with this for a couple more weeks, at least one.
Well, I do want to say congratulations, Duck, on making the brackets officially. This is your second win.
Yeah, I have a lot of stuff going on, so it's like I just want to get the not that they were guaranteed wins or anything. It was like I want to get them done, and then I can take a break and I don't have to worry about this for another 2 weeks while I do my other 18 tournaments, and then come back to it. So, but yeah, I mean, I said it last time. Like, this was as the 1 seed in this was a division you didn't really want to pull. Even our 4 seed is a pretty decent player. So like definitely, if he gets a good seed and he routes it well, like he can upset someone. So I managed to get by him. Like Fred could have easily taken this. Like I said, this was a seed that would be good for him. Like if he just routed it, made the right choices or made the faster choices than me. Like you could skip a lot of stuff. You can skip pretty much all of Norfair. You can skip, obviously you can skip all of Meridia. A lot of the, like I said, I think his length of pass is stronger as SM. He could have skipped a lot of SM. I don't know. Was there anything in Wreck Ship? I don't think there was.
Wreck Ship was empty. Wreck
Ship.
empty.
That's it.
Lamp, yeah, lamp.
Okay, yeah.
Lamp at gravity.
Fred could have skipped as well.
Yeah, he could have skipped that. It doesn't need it. So we had fire because I found lamp. I was like, oh good. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, no, I have the fire rod.
Handy, but not required.
Yeah.
Even most of the dungeons in Link to the Past, most of the dungeons didn't really have a lot of progression. Harrow was empty,
that's what I'm saying. It was
Ice Palace, Swamp. Unfortunately, you guys both full cleared. I think all of those.
Yeah, I skipped left side swamp because there was only 1 item.
Yeah, Fred did the same. He made the same play.
Yeah, it was. I figured I figured he probably is likely to make the same play at that point with being so little. Like my plan was to come and play this fairly conservatively, maybe not quite as conservatively as last time. Just try to hundo it as efficiently as possible. But that's why it was like when there was so much stuff and it was just like everything was open. Was like, I mean, this is going to come down to who goes to wherever this bow is first. Total is in our division. I will ask him politely for progressive bow again because I hate it when it comes down to this.
I'm excited to see progressive bows, honestly. That would be the next major improvement.
Yeah, I don't think he's a fan of them, so I doubt it. He's busy anyways. Play Total, if you're listening, please no, I'm just joking. Please don't actually do extra work you don't want to do. Thank you.
Nice blue mail pickup after Ganon is beaten.
Oh, that's where it is. I was like, where are my swords and where are my mails?
I mean, I'm super excited for key sanity for this. That's the amazing thing that I've seen him showcase, and I'm excited for it.
Oh god, people are degenerates. Like, it just sounds so painful. I was watching him play it, and he was like, "Yeah, so I made the door to Wreck Ship a key door, but it's not a key from the other side, so you can go through Forgotten Highway." I'm like, "That's just like you just have that's just like an hour of walking to get somewhere. Like that doesn't like it just sounds painful. Like it's
so
cool.
Clearly, a Lord of the Rings fan.
Yeah, it's cool. There's like it's like potential new route and everything, but yeah, I don't know. It's weird too because it's like when you play the randomizers, it's like okay, you know where the keys are, like how the games work and everything. Like Toad's just making up key doors, so it's like the only way to figure out where they are is to play it a couple times. So it's gonna be its own beast. But I mean, it should be. Honestly, I would probably play like a multi-world one just because of how silly it would be. But I feel like people are going to want to race it. I'm going to be like, no, we're not doing that. It seems like a real bad idea.
I feel it's going to be one of those fun, casual things to do. Like as you said, multi-world will be hilarious and amusing. But I feel like key sanity can struggle in a tournament setting.
Yeah, it's just especially with stuff like if he's gonna leave that Forgotten Highway thing. It's just like if that's the play, and like the first guy who decides to sink 10 minutes into going over there, versus or you sink 10 minutes to going over there and it turns out it's nothing. It's just like well, Or the key was like somewhere obvious that you just missed. Like, kind of, it can be real swingy.
And, you know, a quick reminder that Rank 1 Global has been our sponsor for this tournament, and they are fantastic, and I'm super excited to see them growing the data community. So, awesome.
Yeah, it looks like we've got Fred getting close to finishing up here. He's got to be careful with his ammo. If he doesn't know or isn't able to get the Zeb skip, he's probably going to have to go back and refill his missiles. So he'll probably be very careful going through these next few rooms. We'll see how he gets through this. But for Duck, good luck going forward in the tournament. Congratulations again on your win. Wish you the best of luck.
Yeah, thanks.
Do you have any other words, or obviously feel free to hang out with us as we
Yeah, I'll
watch Fred finish up?
Yeah, it looks like he's finishing up. I'll say hello when he pops in. Also, by the way, there were definitely extra jumps on that baby skip. I was lurking when you were saying that. Like, you can do like a 3 jump. I think I did like a 6.
Alright, fair enough. Hopefully my critique of your Link to the Past play was more accurate.
Yeah, I mean, I had a nice like diver down icebreaker. It's like, oh yeah, they're gonna be impressed by that. I was like, wait a minute, it's Ace. Like, he's seen this 100 times now. Like.
Alright, and Fred, not comfortable, doesn't know the baby skip yet. It's definitely a tricky one to get down. If you don't know it, it's better not to waste the time trying and just get as far over and turn right. Save a couple more frames. Okay, he's gonna refill his health. Obviously using missiles. He's aware of his ammo count. That's good. Yeah, I don't know the math here on whether or not he has enough to go through without refilling, but just for safety, I'm almost certain he will anyway. And taking a safety save, that's also a good plan, just in case something were to go wrong. Let's see if he's able to get this baby skip. It might be better off in this case resetting the room. I know sometimes when you get these off time, it's difficult to fix it. Oh,
There
he
we
gets
go.
it just as I say that. Nicely done. Alright, so he definitely doesn't have to worry about his ammo now. He's in good shape. Well, I guess I'll have to be a little bit careful. If he lands all of his super missile shots, he'll have to land 39 missiles. on phase 2.
Yes.
But it's almost inevitable, at least in my experience, that you miss one. At least one. No matter how careful you try to be. It's just a lot of shots to get 100% accuracy on.
All it takes is that rogue move in the hand, and suddenly...
Yeah, the fight does get a lot more difficult, more dangerous with the ketchup beam, as it's referred to. If you know the damage values, your ammo count, you can be heads up about that. It's nice to, well, actually, never mind. I was gonna say you could opt to open with your missile shots so that you have less hits to land, but you run the risk of missing some super missiles when you're trying to be more evasive. So
We never found charge.
may not be optimal. Yeah, he missed the charge. He didn't do the Smith chain at all.
Honestly, wasn't much reason to do it unless you were trying to do a hot meme.
Yeah, I mean, you skip the X-ray, you miss the opportunity to microwave Dragon.
I don't pick up that thing unless I already have charged plasma. Like,
Yeah, you had
I mean,
neither at the time, I believe, right?
yeah, I had neither. So I'm like, that's not happening.
Yeah,
So
that was not a surprise.
no. Dragon was fine though. Like, it didn't give me any swoops, so finished it off quick.
Yeah, that was a fantastic fight.
I think that's the first time I've actually done reverse Coliseum.
And even casually, the end of this fight is a fairly easy one to take down. Giving you that hyper beam does so much damage to Mother Brain.
Shout out to FSG, by the way. He has blown a PB by dying to Mother Brain for 3 before.
Really?
It's funny that, you know, it's a safe end, but it's not free.
Yeah, well, he was doing it in low ice, so he was like 3 tanks, and he doesn't have high jump. So,
Ooh.
yeah, it's if that fight's ever gonna get tricky, that's the time it's gonna happen. But he got the PB he deserved like right after that, so it's not too bad. I can make fun of him for it.
Nice. Right. Fred opting to turn Screw Attack back on, which is nice. Make these pirates not a threat.
Speaking of, what was up with my Zeb skip? Like, I could not figure out what was happening.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not knowledgeable enough to see what went wrong. I saw you had a little trouble with it, but
Yeah, it was like kicking me out weirdly. I couldn't like figure out what was happening. Like, it's not a trick I ever have issues with anymore. It's just sometimes it just goes wonky. I guess I don't know.
I don't know. I know that happens to me occasionally, and I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but I just keep trying and I get it. you can clearly see too without high jump boots, Fred's jumps are a lot less effective. Makes the space jump timing a lot more difficult. And really slows down this climb since he missed the shine spark.
Oh yeah, high jump boots were behind my my sword adventure as well.
Yeah.
Now Binky was on the left, and then
Yes.
yeah.
But you did everything. You went Dark Magician into not Dark Magician.
Yeah, that's the new hotness, the Boyne as it were.
Fred giving us the appropriate send off.
And there is the finish. Get your GGs out in chat for Fred Coughlin. Finishing the run 3:14:57. Nicely done.
Indeed.
Yeah, GG.
And we'll see if Fred wants to come in for an interview.
I think he went to sleep like right away.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. That's our chat as well. But just because he lost, he is not out of this yet. He will go on to play the winner of... I'm trying to think who else is in your group. It's Total and...
Yeah, Bionicle Genius.
Bionicle Genius, okay. Okay, so the winner of that match will play up against Fred Coughlin in the next week. Wish him the best of luck in whichever matchup he gets. Yeah, this was a great race. Do you have anything to add on?
Well, I've been here for like 15 minutes. I think I said everything I needed to say. But yeah, I'm gonna take my vacation and do something else.
Well, enjoy it. You earned it, Duck. I want to shout out both of our runners. Shout out our tracker was M Jolly. And of course, my co-commentator, All Rager, is here on the mic with me. Thanks for doing this. It was a lot of fun. Hope you all enjoyed watching.
It was a fantastic time. Great race. Thank you once again, Apathy. A great race. And a big thank you to Fred as well. So thank you to everyone who's watching. A big thanks to Rank 1 for sponsoring this tournament. Thanks to SpeedGaming for hosting it. Thanks to everyone. Seriously, the entire community makes this what it is, and it's great.
Yeah, absolutely. And on that note, we'll just wish you all good night and see you next mission.
Okay.